The breadbasket shattered against the marble wall at exactly 8:47 p.m., and in that moment, Claire Bennett made the worst decision of her life. She looked a billionaire's daughter in the eye and said no. What happened next tore through Manhattan's elite like a Category 5 hurricane. A viral video. A hidden past. Secrets powerful enough to destroy empires. But this isn't a story about revenge or romance or redemption wrapped in a pretty bow. This is about what happens when a ghost walks into a restaurant and accidentally saves a family she was never supposed to meet. If you want to see how far this story can travel, drop a comment with your city below, hit that like button, and stay with me until the end. Because what you think you know about Claire Bennett? You don't know anything yet. The rain came down like knives that Tuesday night. Claire Bennett stood behind the hostess station at Obsidian, watching water streak down the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked Fifth Avenue. Her feet ached. Her lower back screamed. She'd been on shift for 11 hours straight, covering for Maria who'd called in sick, and the lunch rush had bled into dinner service without even a bathroom break in between. Table 12 needs water refills, Marcus hissed as he swept past her, his bow tie slightly crooked. Marcus had worked at Obsidian for 6 years and still jumped at shadows. And for Christ's sake, smile. You look like someone died. Claire didn't smile. She grabbed the water pitcher instead. The restaurant glittered like the inside of a jewelry box. All black marble, gold accents, and soft amber lighting that made everyone look either wealthy or dying. Probably both. The Tuesday night crowd was lighter than usual, maybe 40 covers instead of the typical 60, but that meant nothing. At Obsidian, every table represented someone who could end your career with a phone call. Claire preferred it that way. Invisible. Forgettable. Just another waitress in a city full of people trying to survive until morning. She was refilling a senator's water glass when the front door opened. The temperature in the room dropped. Claire didn't need to look up to know what was happening. She could feel it, that specific silence that falls over a space when someone truly dangerous walks in. Not movie villain dangerous, real dangerous. The kind that comes with lawyers and offshore accounts and the ability to make problems disappear. Holy shit, Marcus whispered beside her. It's him. Ethan Blackwell stepped through the entrance like he owned the building, which he probably did. At 32, he looked like someone had carved him from expensive stone and forgotten to add warmth. 6'2", dark hair starting to gray at the temples, wearing a suit that cost more than Claire's entire year's rent. His jaw was tight. His eyes were gray and empty. Behind him, almost invisible in his shadow, was a little girl, 8 years old maybe. Dark hair like her father's, pulled back in a ponytail so tight it made Claire's scalp hurt just looking at it. She wore a navy dress that looked stiff and uncomfortable, patent leather shoes that clicked against the marble, and an expression that could freeze blood. Mr. Blackwell. Their general manager, Vincent, appeared out of nowhere, practically vibrating with anxiety. Vincent was 53 and had managed some of the finest restaurants in Manhattan, but his hand shook when he extended one toward Ethan. We're honored to have you. Your usual table is ready. Ethan didn't shake his hand. He just walked past Vincent like he was furniture. The little girl, Lily, Claire remembered from the tabloids, followed without looking at anyone. Claire watched them settle into table 7, the corner booth with the best view of the city. Ethan immediately pulled out his phone. Lily stared at the menu like it had personally offended her. Thank God you're not assigned to that section, Marcus muttered. Jessica's dealing with them tonight. Poor girl looks ready to vomit. Claire glanced across the dining room. Jessica was 23, fresh out of hospitality school, and currently approaching table 7 with a smile so forced it looked painful. Good evening, Mr. Blackwell. My name is Jessica, and I'll be water, no ice, and the Chateau Margaux 2015. Ethan didn't look up from his phone. Of course, sir, and for the young lady, she'll have the salmon, grilled, no sauce. Still didn't look up. Lily's fork scraped against her empty plate. The sound made 3 nearby diners flinch. Actually, Lily said, her voice high and sharp, I want the steak. You had steak yesterday. I don't care. You're getting the salmon. I hate salmon. Then don't eat. Jessica stood frozen, her pen hovering over her notepad. Perhaps we could... The salmon, Ethan repeated. His tone didn't change, but Jessica stepped back like he'd shoved her. Right away, sir. Claire returned to her own section. refilling bread baskets and pretending not to notice the tension radiating from table 7. She'd worked at Obsidian for 14 months, and she'd learned the most important rule early. Rich people's problems weren't her problems. She smiled, she served, she collected her tips, and she went home. That was the deal, except table 7 wasn't following the script. 20 minutes later, Jessica delivered the salmon. Lily looked at it like it was roadkill. "I said I wanted steak," she announced loudly enough that conversation stopped at nearby tables. "And I said you're having salmon." Ethan still hadn't put down his phone. "I'm not eating this." "Then sit there. You can't make me. Watch me." Jessica backed away slowly, nearly tripping over her own feet. Claire saw her disappear into the kitchen, probably to cry in the walk-in freezer. Standard procedure. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Lily glared at her plate. Ethan typed emails. The salmon sat untouched, getting cold. Then Lily picked up her fork and stabbed it into the fish so hard the plate cracked. The sound echoed. Ethan finally looked up. "Stop." "No." "Lily, I hate you." She said it matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather. Then she picked up the plate and threw it. Not at her father, at Jessica, who just returned to check on them. The plate missed Jessica's head by inches and exploded against the wall behind her. Salmon, asparagus, and ceramic shrapnel went everywhere. Jessica screamed. A woman at table 4 gasped. The entire restaurant went silent except for the soft jazz still playing through the speakers, which suddenly sounded obscene. Lily stood up. "I want to go home." "Sit down." Ethan's voice was ice. "I hate this place." "Sit down." "I hate you." Jessica ran. Actually ran straight through the dining room and into the back hallway. Claire heard her sobbing echo through the kitchen doors. Vincent materialized again, his face pale. "Mr. Blackwell, I am so terribly sorry. Clean it up." Ethan pulled out his wallet, extracted what looked like $500 bills, and dropped them on the table. "We're leaving." But Lily wasn't done. She turned toward this couple at the next table, both in their 70s, dressed for an anniversary dinner, and smiled. Actually smiled. "You're really old," she told them. "You'll probably die soon." The woman's face crumpled. Her husband put his arm around her. Lily grabbed the breadbasket from their table. And that's when Claire moved. She didn't plan it, didn't think about it. One moment she was standing by the server station, watching this tiny tyrant destroy everyone in her path, and the next moment she was crossing the dining room. "Lily," her voice came out quiet but clear. "Put it down." Everyone looked at her. Vincent's eyes went wide with horror. Ethan's expression didn't change at all, which was somehow worse than anger. Lily clutched the breadbasket tighter. "Who are you?" "I'm Claire." "Put the basket down." "Why should I?" "Because you're better than this." Lily laughed. It sounded wrong coming from a child. "You don't know anything about me." "You're right," Claire said. "I don't, but I know what it looks like when someone's hurting so badly they want everyone else to hurt too." The basket trembled in Lily's hands. "I'm not hurting." "Yes, you are." "Shut up." "It's okay to be hurt." "I said shut up." Lily threw the basket. Claire caught it, barely. Bread went everywhere, but at least it didn't hit anyone. The room held its breath. Claire set the basket down on an empty table, then crouched down so she was eye level with Lily. She ignored Ethan completely, even though she could feel his gaze on her like a physical weight. "You're not a bad person," Claire said softly. "You're a scared person who's been taught that being mean is the same as being strong. It's not." Lily's face twisted. For just a second the mask cracked, and Claire saw what was underneath. A lonely, terrified child drowning in expensive clothes in empty rooms. Then Lily slapped her. Not hard. The girl was 8. But the shock of it rippled through the restaurant like a gunshot. Claire didn't flinch. She just stayed crouched there, her cheeks stinging, meeting Lily's eyes. "Feel better?" she asked. Lily's hand dropped. It's okay." Claire straightened up. "You want to know what I think you actually need?" "No." "A cheeseburger." Lily blinked. "What?" "A cheeseburger. With fries. Not because it's on some approved menu your nutritionist designed. Not because it's photographed well for Instagram. Just because it tastes good and you're 8 years old and that's what 8-year-olds should eat sometimes." Something flickered across Lily's face. We don't have cheeseburgers here. Kitchen makes them for staff. I can get you one. Claire glanced at Ethan for the first time. If your father approves. This was the moment. The moment where Ethan Blackwell, one of the most powerful men in New York, would either destroy her or surprise her. He stared at Claire like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. Who the hell are you? He asked. I'm nobody, Claire said. Just a waitress who thinks your daughter deserves better than salmon she didn't ask for. That's not your decision to make. You're right. It's hers. Claire looked back at Lily. You want the burger or not? Lily looked at her father, then at Claire, then down at her hands. Yes, she whispered. Claire nodded, coming right up. She walked away before Ethan could respond, heading straight for the kitchen. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Her hands shook. What the hell had she just done? Marcus grabbed her arm the second she pushed through the kitchen doors. Are you insane? That's Ethan Blackwell out there. He could end you with a phone call. Then I guess I'm already ended. Claire headed for the grill station. Carlos, I need a cheeseburger and fries, staff meal. Carlos, the line cook, looked confused. We're in the middle of service. Please, Carlos, I'll owe you. Something in her voice must have convinced him because he nodded and started pulling ingredients. Claire leaned against the stainless steel counter, trying to slow her breathing. Through the small window in the kitchen door, she could see table 7. Ethan was on his phone again. Lily sat perfectly still, staring at nothing. 10 minutes later, Claire carried the cheeseburger and fries back out. She half expected table 7 to be empty, or Ethan to be waiting with lawyers. Instead, they were both still there, frozen in their separate silences. Claire set the plate down in front of Lily without ceremony. Here. Lily stared at it. It's just a cheeseburger. Yep. From the kitchen. That's where we make food, yeah. But it's not on the menu. Lots of good things aren't on menus. Claire straightened up. Enjoy. She started to walk away. Wait. Lily's voice was small. Will you sit with me? Claire glanced at Ethan. His expression was unreadable. I'm working, Claire said gently. Please? That one word, spoken without cruelty or entitlement, just raw need. It broke something in Claire's chest. She pulled out the chair across from Lily and sat down. Lily picked up a fry, bit into it. Her eyes widened slightly. It's good, she said, like the concept surprised her. Most things are when you actually want them instead of being told to want them. Lily took a bite of the burger, then another. Then she was eating for real, not performing or protesting, just eating. Ethan watched the whole thing with an expression Claire couldn't decode. You're different from the other servers, Lily said between bites. How so? You're not scared of my dad. Claire smiled faintly. I'm terrified of your dad. I'm just more worried about you. Why? Because you're 8 and you're angrier than most adults I know. That's not normal. What's normal? I don't know, but it's probably not throwing salmon at waitresses. Lily's face flushed. She was annoying. She was doing her job. She kept smiling that fake smile. People smile fake smiles when they're scared. Why was she scared? Claire gestured at Ethan without looking at him. You really need me to answer that? Lily looked at her father. Really looked at him, maybe for the first time that night. He's not scary, she said quietly. He's just busy. Busy's different than present. What's that mean? Claire chose her words carefully. It means you can be in the same room as someone and still be completely alone. Lily's hand stopped halfway to her mouth. The fry trembled between her fingers. I'm not alone, she whispered. Okay. I'm not. I believe you. Then why did you say it? Claire met her eyes. Because I think you needed someone to see it, even if you can't admit it yet. Lily's face crumpled. For a second, Claire thought she might cry. Instead, she shoved another fry in her mouth and chewed aggressively. Ethan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. You should go, he said to Claire. Not cruel, almost uncertain. Claire stood up. Enjoy your meal, Lily. Wait. Lily grabbed her wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. What's your name again? Claire. Are you here every night? Most nights. Will you be here next Tuesday? Claire felt Ethan's eyes boring into her. I don't know. Please, Lily said. Please be here. It wasn't manipulation. It was desperation. The raw, unfiltered need of a child who just found something that felt real in a world built entirely of expensive lies. Claire gently extracted her wrist. I'll try. She walked away before she could make promises she couldn't keep. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. She took orders, delivered food, collected plates. Nobody mentioned what happened at table 7, but she felt eyes on her all night. Other servers, other diners, Vincent watching her like she was a bomb that might go off. At 11 p.m., the Blackwells left. Ethan dropped $1,000 in cash on the table. Lily waved at Claire on her way out. Claire waved back. Vincent cornered her the second they were gone. My office, now. She followed him through the kitchen, past the dish pit, into his cramped office that smelled like cigarettes and desperation. What the hell was that? Vincent demanded. A child having a breakdown. You don't talk to Ethan Blackwell's daughter without permission. She was destroying your restaurant. Someone had to do something. That someone wasn't supposed to be you. Vincent's face was red. Do you have any idea who he is? What he could do to this place if he wanted? I'm aware. Then why? Vincent stopped, studying her face. You're not scared at all, are you? Claire shrugged. I've seen worse than angry billionaires. That's not reassuring. It wasn't meant to be. Vincent sat down heavily in his chair. If he calls tomorrow demanding you be fired, you're gone. I can't protect you. I know. Then why risk it? Claire thought about Lily's eyes. That flash of desperate hope when someone finally treated her like a person instead of a problem. Because somebody had to see her, Claire said, and everyone else was too busy being terrified. Vincent shook his head. You're either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Probably both. Get out. Go home. And pray he forgets you exist. Claire left. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still slick and shining. She walked to the subway, her feet aching, her cheeks still stinging from where Lily had slapped her. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You're trending on Twitter. Claire frowned. Open Twitter. The top trending topic in New York. #mystery. Waitress. Someone had filmed the whole thing. Not the plate throwing, not the bread basket. Just Claire, crouched down in front of Lily, speaking words the camera couldn't capture, but everyone could interpret from body language alone. The caption, Unknown waitress stands up to billionaire Ethan Blackwell's daughter at Obsidian. Who is she? 10 million views? 20 million. The number kept climbing. Claire's stomach dropped. She deleted Twitter, turned off her phone, kept walking. By the time she reached her apartment, a fifth-floor walk-up in Washington Heights that smelled like old curry and broken dreams, the exhaustion hit her like a truck. She unlocked 3 deadbolts, stepped inside, and locked them all again. The apartment was small. Studio, technically, but barely. A mattress on the floor. A hot plate. A bathroom with a shower that only worked in cold. One window that looked out at a brick wall. Claire stood there in the dark for a long time. Then she opened the drawer beneath her mattress and pulled out a phone. Not her regular phone. A different one. Old. Prepaid. The screen cracked but functional. She turned it on. One contact. No name. Just a number. She typed a message. They saw me. The response came 30 seconds later. How bad? Viral video. Trending. Millions of views. Location? Manhattan. Obsidian restaurant. A longer pause. Then, stay invisible. Don't engage. Wait for instructions. Claire deleted the conversation, turned off the phone, put it back in the drawer. She lay down on her mattress and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere across the city, in a penthouse that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime, Ethan Blackwell was probably reading about her. Investigating. Digging. He wouldn't find anything. She'd made sure of that. Claire Bennett didn't exist before 14 months ago. The woman she'd been before that? She died in a warehouse fire in Baltimore. At least that's what the official report said. That's what everyone believed, including Ethan Blackwell. For now, Claire closed her eyes and waited for her life to fall apart. Again. Was. 3 blocks away, in a different apartment that didn't appear on any official registry, a man sat in front of 6 monitors, watching footage of Obsidian on repeat. He paused on Claire's face, enhanced the image, ran it through facial recognition software that didn't exist on any public database. The match came back in 7 seconds. He picked up his phone. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" The voice on the other end sounded bored. "The kind where a dead woman just went viral standing up to a billionaire." The boredom vanished. "You're certain?" 97% match. It's her." "Where?" "Manhattan, working as a waitress. She made contact with Ethan Blackwell's daughter." A long silence. Then, "Does Blackwell know who she is?" "Not yet, but he's investigating. It's only a matter of time." "How much time?" "Days. Maybe hours if he's thorough." Another silence, longer this time. "Eliminate the problem," the voice said finally. "Her or Blackwell?" "Both. Make it look unrelated." The man in front of the monitor smiled. "Understood." He hung up and went back to studying Claire's face on screen. "Found you," he whispered to the empty room. "Finally found you." Worcester. Back in the penthouse, Ethan Blackwell stood at his floor-to-ceiling windows, looking down at the city that used to make sense to him. Lily was asleep in her room. Actually asleep, not pretending while staring at her phone. She'd gone to bed without arguing. She'd even said goodnight. That hadn't happened in 3 years. Ethan pulled up the video on his tablet. Watched it again. The mysterious waitress, Claire, she'd said her name was Claire, crouched down in front of his daughter, speaking words he couldn't hear but could feel somehow. "You keep giving her everything except yourself." She'd said that to him right before she walked away. Quiet. Calm. Like she'd just commented on the weather instead of exposing the central failing of his entire existence. Who the hell was she? He made a call. "Richard, I need a full background check on someone." "Name?" His head of security sounded alert despite the late hour. "Claire Bennett, works at Obsidian Restaurant. I want everything." "How deep?" "Everything. Employment history, credit reports, social media, criminal records, associates. I want to know where she was born, where she went to school, and what she had for breakfast this morning." "Time frame?" "I want preliminary results by dawn." "Done." Ethan hung up and watched the video one more time. Something about Claire's eyes bothered him. Not the color or the shape. The way they looked at him, like she wasn't impressed or intimidated or even particularly interested. Like she could see straight through his money, his power, his carefully constructed walls, and found him boring. Nobody had looked at him like that in a decade. He thought about Lily's face when she ate that cheeseburger. The first real smile he'd seen from her in months. Maybe years. She's not cruel. She's hurting. How had a random waitress seen his daughter more clearly in 5 minutes than he had in 8 years? Ethan set down the tablet and poured himself 3 fingers of whiskey he wouldn't drink. Outside, Manhattan glittered like it always did, indifferent, eternal, merciless. And somewhere in that vast grid of light and shadow, Claire Bennett was either the best thing that could have happened to his family or the beginning of their complete destruction. He just didn't know which yet. The phone on his desk buzzed. A text from Richard. "Found something. Call me." Ethan stared at the message. Then he poured the whiskey down the sink and made the call. "What did you find?" he asked. Richard's voice was tight. "Problem. Big problem." "I don't pay you to be cryptic. Claire Bennett doesn't exist." "What does that mean?" "I mean her social security number is real, but it was only issued 14 months ago. Before that? Nothing. No birth certificate, no school records, no medical history, no digital footprint. It's like she materialized out of thin air last year." Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. "That's impossible. I'm telling you what I found. Or didn't find. People don't just appear iki-i. People in witness protection do. People in deep cover do. People running from something do." Richard paused. "What did this woman do to you?" "She fed my daughter a cheeseburger." "Then why do you care who she really is?" Ethan looked out at the city again. "Because something's wrong. I can feel it." "Want me to keep digging?" "Yes." "And Richard, be careful. If she's hiding this well, there's a reason." "You think she's dangerous?" Ethan thought about Claire's eyes. That calm, unflinching gaze. "I think," he said slowly, "that she's the most dangerous kind of person. someone with nothing left to lose. He hung up and stood there in the dark, watching his city sleep. Tomorrow, he'd find out who Claire Bennett really was. And then he'd decide whether to destroy her or save her. The problem was, he wasn't sure which one scared him more. The sun came up over Manhattan like an accusation. Claire hadn't slept. She'd spent the night on her mattress, staring at the water stain on her ceiling that looked vaguely like a hand reaching for something it would never touch. Around 4 a.m., she'd gotten up to check the burner phone again, but there were no new messages. Just that single instruction hanging in the digital void. Stay invisible. Wait for instructions. Staying invisible was no longer an option. By 6 a.m., her regular phone, which she'd stupidly turned back on, had 247 missed calls and over 1,000 text messages, most from numbers she didn't recognize. A few from Marcus, one from Vincent that just said, "Don't come in today." She sat on the edge of her mattress and scrolled through the notifications with a kind of detached horror. The video had exploded overnight, 40 million views now. News outlets were picking it up. Someone had created a Reddit thread titled, "Who is the Mystery Waitress?" with 2,000 comments speculating about her identity. A knock at her door made her freeze. Nobody knocked on her door. Nobody knew where she lived except the building super, and he barely acknowledged her existence when she paid rent in cash every month. "Claire Bennett?" A man's voice, smooth, professional. "My name is Richard Moss. I work for Ethan Blackwell. He'd like to speak with you." Claire's heart slammed against her ribs. She looked around her apartment, one window, no fire escape, 5 floors up. The door had 3 locks, but they wouldn't stop someone who really wanted in. "I'm not home," she called back. "Ms. Bennett, I can hear you breathing on the other side of the door." "Then you have excellent hearing. Congratulations." A pause. "Mr. Blackwell is prepared to compensate you for your time. Generously." "I don't want his money." "Everyone wants money." "Then I'm not everyone." Another pause, longer this time. Claire could practically hear him recalculating his approach. "He's downstairs," Richard said finally. "In the car. He just wants to talk. Tell him to make an appointment." Ms. Bennett, through the restaurant, during business hours, like a normal human being. She heard Richard sigh. Footsteps retreated down the hallway. Claire waited 30 seconds, then crept to her window and looked down at the street. A black Mercedes sat at the curb. Even from 5 floors up, she could see Ethan Blackwell in the back seat, staring up at her building. He pulled out his phone. Claire's phone rang. Unknown number. She didn't answer. It rang again and again. On the 4th call, she picked up. "What?" she said. "Get in the car." Ethan's voice was exactly as she remembered, cold, controlled, completely certain of being obeyed. "No. I'm not asking. And I'm not interested in whatever power play this is. You want to talk to me? Come back to Obsidian, order something, leave a tip." "You made contact with my daughter without authorization." Claire laughed, came out sharp and bitter. "Authorization? She was terrorizing your staff and making elderly people cry. Someone had to do something." "That someone wasn't you." "Clearly it should have been you, but you were too busy checking your emails." The silence on the other end was arctic. "You don't know anything about me," Ethan said quietly. "I know you've got a daughter who's drowning and you're throwing her gold coins instead of a life preserver. I know that 2 minutes of actual attention from you meant more to her than that $1,000 tip you left. And I know that scares the hell out of you because it means all your money doesn't actually fix anything." "Are you finished?" "Not even close, but I have to go to work. Vincent fired you." Claire's stomach dropped. "What?" 20 minutes ago. He left you a voicemail. You should check your messages." She pulled the phone away from her ear, switched to voicemail. Vincent's voice, tight with anxiety. "Claire, I'm sorry. I got a call from the ownership group this morning. They're concerned about the publicity. I have to let you go. Your final paycheck will be mailed. I'm sorry. I really am." Claire closed her eyes. "Still want to refuse my offer?" Ethan asked. "You got me fired." "I didn't have to. The video did that. I'm just offering you a way forward. I don't need your charity. It's not charity. It's a job offer." That stopped her. "What?" "Get in the car. We'll discuss it." "Discuss what? You don't even know me." "I know enough. You're smart, you're fearless, and my daughter responded to you in a way she hasn't responded to anyone in years. That's worth exploring." "Worth exploring," Claire repeated flatly. "I'm not a business opportunity." "Everything's a business opportunity if you frame it correctly." "That's the saddest thing I've ever heard." Another pause. When Ethan spoke again, his voice had shifted slightly, less corporate, more human. Almost. "Please," he said, "just 5 minutes. If you still want to walk away after that, I'll leave you alone." Claire looked around her apartment. At the mattress on the floor, the hot plate, the single window overlooking nothing. She thought about her bank account, $347 and shrinking. She thought about the burner phone in her drawer and the instructions she was supposed to be following. Stay invisible. Too late for that. 5 minutes, she said. Then I'm gone. She hung up before he could respond. It took her 3 minutes to get downstairs. She didn't change out of her jeans and gray sweater, didn't put on makeup or fix her hair. If Ethan Blackwell wanted to talk to her, he could talk to the real version, not some polished-up approximation. The Mercedes' back door opened as she approached. Richard, middle-aged, ex-military posture, earpiece barely visible, stood beside it like a sentry. "Ms. Bennett?" "I'm not getting in until I see inside." Richard's eyebrow twitched. "You think we're going to kidnap you?" "I think rich people do weird things when they're bored." Something that might have been respect flickered across Richard's face. He stepped back and gestured at the open door. Claire looked inside. Ethan sat alone in the back seat, no bodyguards, no weapons visible. Just him in his expensive suit and those cold gray eyes. She got in. Richard closed the door. The sound of it shutting felt final, like a coffin lid. "Drive around the block," Ethan told the driver. Then to Claire, "You look tired." "You got me fired. I'm not in the mood for small talk." "I didn't get you fired. Your decision to go viral got you fired." "I didn't ask to be filmed." "But you knew it was a possibility. High-end restaurant, wealthy clientele, smartphones everywhere. You made a choice." Claire stared at him. "You think I confronted your daughter for attention? I think you made a calculated decision that you were willing to accept the consequences of. I respect that." "You don't know anything about what I was thinking. Then tell me." "Why?" "Because I need to understand who you are before I hire you." Claire laughed. "You're serious about that? The job offer?" "Completely." "Doing what? Serving your daughter cheeseburgers?" In a manner of speaking, Ethan pulled out his tablet, tapped something, and handed it to her. "Read this." It was a contract. Employment agreement between Ethan Blackwell and Claire Bennett for the position of personal assistant and companion to Lily Blackwell. Salary, $150,000 annually. Benefits, health insurance, housing allowance, transportation stipend. Claire read it twice to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. "You want to pay me $150,000 a year to hang out with your daughter? To be a positive influence on her, someone she responds to, someone who isn't afraid of her." Ethan took the tablet back. "You clearly have a skill I lack." "Parenting?" His jaw tightened. "Connecting with her?" "Yes." "You can't outsource being a father." "I'm not trying to. I'm trying to give her access to someone who makes her feel seen. Isn't that what you accused me of failing to do?" Claire leaned back against the leather seat. The car smelled like money. That specific combination of expensive cologne, new leather, and the faint chemical tang of professional detailing. "This is insane," she said. "It's practical. It's you throwing money at a problem again. If the problem gets solved, does the method matter?" "Yes," Claire said firmly. "Because Lily doesn't need another employee. She needs her father to actually give a damn about her." Ethan's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Anger, maybe. Or pain. It was gone too quickly to identify. "I do give a damn," he said quietly. "Then act like it." "I'm trying." "Hiring me isn't trying, it's delegating." "Then what would you suggest?" Claire looked out the window. They were circling her block for the third time. Washington Heights looked different from inside a Mercedes, smaller, shabbier, like looking at poverty through museum glass. "Have dinner with her," Claire said. "A real dinner. Not at some five-star place where everything's a performance. Somewhere normal. Ask her about her day. Actually listen to the answer. Don't check your phone. Don't talk about business. Just be her dad for 2 hours. I do that. When's the last time? Ethan opened his mouth, closed it. His hand tightened around the tablet. I don't remember, he admitted. That's the problem. The car stopped at a red light. An old woman crossed in front of them, dragging a shopping cart full of bottles. She looked exhausted. Nobody else on the sidewalk even glanced at her. My wife died when Lily was 3, Ethan said suddenly. Claire turned to look at him. He was still watching the old woman. Cancer, he continued. Ovarian. Stage 4 by the time they found it. She was gone in 8 months. His voice was flat, reciting facts. I had a company to run, a daughter to raise alone. I did what I thought was right, hired the best nannies, the best tutors, the best therapists, made sure Lily had everything she needed. Except you. Except me. He finally looked at Claire. I didn't know how to be both, the CEO and the father, so I chose the one I was good at. And now Lily's 8 years old and throwing plates at waitresses. And now Lily's 8 years old and throwing plates at waitresses, he agreed. The light turned green. The car started moving again. Why did you really come here, Claire asked. It's not just about hiring me. Ethan studied her face like she was a contract he was trying to parse. Because when I ran your background check, it came back empty. Claire's blood went cold. What? Claire Bennett didn't exist before 14 months ago. No birth certificate, no school records, no employment history, just a social security number that appears out of nowhere and a rental application filled with lies. He tilted his head slightly. So I'll ask you the same question you asked me. Who are you really? Claire's mind raced. She could lie. She could run. She could pull the emergency door handle and throw herself out of a moving vehicle, which was genuinely tempting. Instead, she said, someone who's trying very hard to stay alive. Ethan's expression didn't change. Are you in danger? That depends. On what? On whether you're going to keep digging into my past. That depends on whether you're a threat to my daughter. Claire met his eyes. I would never hurt Lily. But you're running from something. Yes. Something illegal? Complicated. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. They stared at each other. Outside, the city scrolled past. Coffee shops, bodegas. People living their normal lives with their normal problems. Claire wondered what that felt like. She'd forgotten. If I hire you, Ethan said slowly, and something from your past shows up to destroy my family, that's on me. I need to know what I'm inviting into my life. Then don't hire me, but I want to. Why? Because my daughter smiled yesterday for the first time in months. Because she actually ate dinner. Because she asked me this morning if the nice waitress would come back. Ethan's voice cracked slightly on the last word, just barely. Because I have unlimited money and unlimited power, and none of it matters if I can't make my daughter happy. Claire felt something shift in her chest. This man, this billionaire who everyone feared, looked genuinely lost, like a kid who'd been handed a problem he couldn't buy his way out of and didn't know what to do. I'll make you a deal, she said. I'm listening. I'll spend time with Lily, not as your employee, as someone who gives a damn about what happens to her, but you have to be there too. I can do that. No phones, no assistants, no checking stock prices or approving mergers. When we're with Lily, she's the only thing that matters. You think you can handle that? Ethan's jaw tightened. Yes. And you stop investigating me. That's not set. Those are the terms. Take them or leave them. You're asking me to trust someone I don't know. I'm asking you to trust someone your daughter already trusts. That should be enough. The car pulled back up to Claire's building. Richard opened the door from outside. Ethan didn't move. If something from your past hurts my daughter, it won't. You can't promise that. You're right, I can't. But neither can you. You can't promise she won't get hurt at school or in a car accident or by someone you've pissed off in business. Life doesn't come with guarantees. All we can do is try our best. That's not good enough. It's all there is. Claire started to get out of the car. Ethan grabbed her wrist. Not hard. Just enough to stop her. Tuesday, he said. Dinner. The 3 of us. Somewhere normal, like you said. What? That's my counteroffer. You want me to be present? Fine. But you have to be there too. Show me how it's done. Claire looked down at his hand on her wrist. His grip was warm, solid. The first real human contact she'd had in months that wasn't a handshake or an accidental brush in a crowded subway car. "One dinner," she said. "That's it. For now." She pulled her wrist free and got out of the car. Richard closed the door behind her. The Mercedes pulled away, disappearing into morning traffic. Claire stood on the sidewalk, her heart pounding, trying to process what had just happened. Her phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number that was definitely Ethan. "Pick you up at 6 p.m. Tuesday. Dress casual." She should say no. She should run. She should grab her go-bag from the closet and disappear into another city, another identity, another life. Instead, she texted back, "Where are we going?" "You said somewhere normal. I'm trusting you to define that." Claire almost smiled. "Fine. But if you show up in a suit, I'm leaving." Noted. She turned off her phone and headed back upstairs. Her apartment felt smaller than before, like the walls had contracted while she was gone. She stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by the sum total of her current existence, and felt the weight of what she'd just agreed to settle over her like snow. The burner phone was still in the drawer, still waiting for instructions that hadn't come. Claire pulled it out and stared at the blank screen. She should report in, tell them about Ethan, about the video, about everything spiraling out of control. But if she did that, they'd pull her out. New identity, new city, new life. Again. And Lily would go back to being alone. Claire turned off the burner phone without sending a message. For the first time in 3 years, she was going off script, making her own decisions, probably getting herself killed in the process. But at least she'd go out doing something that mattered. She spent the rest of the day applying to other restaurants, already knowing it was pointless. The video had made her recognizable. Nobody would hire her now. She was too visible, too controversial, too likely to bring media attention. By evening, she'd run out of tasks to distract herself. She sat on her mattress and ate microwaved ramen straight from the cup, watching the sky fade from gray to black through her single window. Her phone buzzed. "Marcus. You okay? Heard about the firing. That's bullshit." "Claire. I'm fine. Thanks for checking." Marcus. "Video's at 60 million views now. You're famous." Claire. "Great. Always wanted to be internet famous for pissing off a billionaire." Marcus. "Could be worse. Could have gotten his daughter's order wrong." Claire actually laughed at that. It felt strange, using muscles she'd forgotten existed. They texted back and forth for a while. Just mundane stuff about the restaurant, about Marcus's boyfriend, about nothing important. It felt normal. Almost nice. Around 10 p.m., someone knocked on her door again. Claire froze. "Hello?" Delivery for Claire Bennett. She checked the peephole. A delivery guy in a brown uniform holding a large box. Nobody else visible in the hallway. "I didn't order anything. Says here it's from Blackwell Enterprises. Already paid for." Claire opened the door halfway, keeping the chain lock engaged. "What is it?" The delivery guy checked his tablet. "Doesn't say. Just says to deliver it and confirm receipt. You want it or not?" "Leave it in the hallway." He shrugged, set down the box, had her sign the tablet through the gap in the door, and left. Claire waited 5 minutes before unhooking the chain and dragging the box inside. It was surprisingly light. She opened it carefully, half expecting something absurd like a gold-plated coffee maker or a designer handbag. Instead, she found a stuffed elephant. Gray, soft, about 12 inches tall. The kind of toy you'd give a small child. Attached to its ear was a note in careful, crayon-written handwriting. "Thank you for being nice to me. Love, Lily." Claire sat on the floor, holding the elephant, feeling something crack inside her chest. She hadn't cried in 3 years. Not when she'd left Baltimore. Not when she'd burned her old identity. Not when she'd spent her first night in this apartment with nothing but a backpack and a fake ID. But she cried now. Quietly, holding a stuffed elephant from an 8-year-old girl who'd spent her whole life learning that people were either scared of her or wanted something from her. And Claire had been neither. She set the elephant carefully on her mattress and pulled out her regular phone. The text to Ethan came out before she could overthink it. "Thank Lily for me. Tell her I love it." His response was immediate. "Tell her yourself on Tuesday." Claire. "Does she know about the dinner?" Ethan. "I told her. She's terrified you won't show up." Claire. "I'll show up." Ethan. "Promise?" Claire stared at that word for a long time. Promises meant something. They meant commitment. They meant staying instead of running. Claire, I promise. She turned off the phone before she could change her mind. The elephant sat on her mattress, watching her with its stitched eyes. Claire named it Harold, for absolutely no reason, and decided that was as good a sign as any that she'd completely lost her mind. Tuesday couldn't come fast enough. And also Tuesday needed to never arrive. Both things were true simultaneously. Claire lay down next to Harold the elephant and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion finally dragged her under. She dreamed about warehouses, about fire, about running through smoke while someone screamed her real name. Not Claire, but the name she'd left behind in Baltimore, along with everything else. She woke up at 3 a.m., gasping, her shirt soaked with sweat. The burner phone was vibrating in the drawer. Claire pulled it out. New message. Status report overdue. Respond immediately. She stared at the screen. Then she typed, Situation contained. Maintaining cover. Will report when safe. The response came fast. Define when safe. Claire. Soon. That's not an answer. Claire. It's the best I have right now. A long pause, then, You're compromised. We're pulling you out. Claire's hands shook. No, this isn't a negotiation. I'm not ready to leave. Ready or not is irrelevant. Your face is all over the internet. Your position is burned. Extraction in 48 hours. Claire, please, just give me 1 week. Why? She thought about Lily, about the elephant on her mattress, about Ethan's expression when he admitted he didn't remember the last time he'd had a real dinner with his daughter. Because there's a kid who needs help and nobody else is going to help her. Not your problem. Maybe not. But I'm making it my problem. Another long pause. Claire held her breath. 1 week, then you're gone whether you like it or not. And if anything happens, anything, we burn everything and you're on your own. Claire. Understood. She deleted the conversation and put the phone back in the drawer. 1 week, 7 days to make some kind of difference in Lily's life. To give her something real before Claire disappeared into another identity in another city. It wasn't enough time, but it was all she had. Monday and Tuesday dragged by like they were moving through molasses. Claire cleaned her apartment, applied to more jobs, avoided the internet and the growing count of views on that damn video. By Tuesday at 5:45 p.m., she'd changed clothes 4 times and was seriously considering not answering the door when Ethan arrived. At exactly 6 p.m., someone knocked. Claire checked the peephole. Ethan Blackwell stood in her hallway wearing jeans and a plain black sweater. No suit, no tie. He looked almost normal. Almost. She opened the door. You actually listened, she said. I'm capable of taking direction. Could have fooled me. Ethan's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Lily's in the car. You ready? Claire grabbed her jacket, a worn canvas thing that had seen better days, and locked her apartment. They didn't talk on the way downstairs. The silence felt less hostile than it had before. Just 2 people existing in the same space, not quite comfortable, but not quite enemies either. The Mercedes was parked at the curb. Richard stood beside it, but this time Lily was visible through the window, bouncing slightly in her seat. Claire got in. You came! Lily practically launched herself across the back seat. Dad said you would, but I didn't believe him because nobody ever actually comes when they say they will, except employees who get paid, and you're not an employee anymore, so I thought maybe you wouldn't, and... Breathe, Claire said gently. I'm here. I promised, remember? Lily nodded, suddenly shy. I know. I really wanted you to come. Did you like Harold? Lily's face lit up. You named him? You actually named him? Of course. Every elephant needs a name. Why Harold? Why not Harold? Lily giggled, actually giggled. Ethan got in beside them, and Claire saw his expression, something between wonder and pain, like he was watching his daughter be a child for the first time and realizing how long it had been. Where are we going? Lily asked. Claire looked at Ethan. You said I could pick. I did. Then we're going to Ray's Pizza in Chelsea. Best slice in Manhattan and plastic tables that stick to your elbows. Lily looked confused. But we always go to nice restaurants. Nice is overrated, Claire said. Real is better. The drive took 20 minutes through evening traffic. Lily filled every second with questions. Where did Claire grow up? What was her favorite color? Did she have any pets? Had she ever been to Disney World? What was her favorite movie? Did she like school when she was 8? Claire answered carefully, weaving truth and fiction together so seamlessly, even she almost believed it. Grew up in Seattle. Lie. Favorite color blue. Truth. No pets but wanted a dog someday. Truth. Never been to Disney World. Truth. Favorite movie was The Princess Bride. Truth. Loved school until she discovered books were more interesting than teachers. Mostly truth. Ethan stayed quiet, watching them both with an expression Claire couldn't quite read. Ray's pizza was packed. Red and white checkered tablecloths, fluorescent lighting, the smell of garlic and tomato sauce thick enough to swim through. They squeezed into a corner table and ordered 2 cheese slices for Lily, pepperoni for Claire, mushroom for Ethan. "This is weird," Lily announced, looking around. "People are staring at us." "They're staring at your dad," Claire corrected. "Billionaires don't usually eat dollar slices." "Maybe they should," Ethan said quietly. The pizza arrived. Lily took a bite and got sauce on her nose. Claire handed her a napkin. Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket, and he actually ignored it. "Tell me about school," Claire said to Lily. "It's boring." "What makes it boring?" "Everything. The teachers talk too much. The other kids are mean. Nobody likes me." "Do you like them?" Lily paused. "What?" "The other kids. Do you actually like them?" I don't know. I never thought about it. Maybe start there. Find one person who seems interesting. Just one. And try being nice to them. See what happens. What if they're mean back? Then they're not your people. Try someone else." Lily considered this while chewing her pizza. "That sounds hard." "Most good things are hard." Ethan spoke for the first time. "Claire's right. I learned that the hard way." Lily looked at her father like he'd just spoken in Martian. "You think things are hard? You're rich. You can do anything. Money doesn't make things easy. It just makes them expensive." "That doesn't make sense." "It will when you're older." "That's what adults always say when they don't have a real answer." Claire bit back a laugh. Ethan looked genuinely flustered. "You're right," he admitted. "That was a cop-out. What I meant is, money can buy you a lot of things. Houses, cars, private schools, fancy restaurants. But it can't buy people actually liking you. It can't buy real friendships or happiness, or feeling less lonely. Those things you have to earn." Lily stared at him. "Are you lonely?" The question hung in the air between them. The restaurant noise, conversations, laughter, the sizzle of pizza hitting hot oil seemed to fade into white noise. "Yes," Ethan said quietly. "I am. But you have me. I do. And you're the best thing in my life. But I haven't been very good at showing you that." Lily's eyes got shiny. "You're always working." "I know." "You never have time." "I know." "I hate it." "I know." Ethan reached across the table and took Lily's hand. "I'm going to do better, I promise." "You always say that. This time I mean it." "How do I know?" Ethan looked at Claire, then back at Lily. "Because I'm not doing it alone anymore. Claire's going to help me figure out how to be a better dad, if that's okay with you." Lily turned to Claire. "Really?" "Really," Claire said, even though she knew it was a promise she might not be able to keep. "But you have to help too. Deal?" Lily nodded so hard her ponytail bounced. "Deal." They finished their pizza while Lily talked about a book she was reading, something about dragons and magic schools. Claire listened. Ethan listened. And for 2 hours in a cheap pizza place in Chelsea, they were just 3 people sharing a meal instead of a broken family held together by money and fear. When they finally left, it was fully dark. Lily fell asleep in the car on the way back, her head on Claire's shoulder. "Thank you," Ethan said quietly. "For what?" "For showing me it doesn't have to be complicated." "It's always complicated. Tonight was just a small piece of uncomplicated in the middle of everything else." "How do I make more pieces like that?" Claire looked at Lily's sleeping face. "You show up. That's it. That's the whole secret. Just keep showing up, even when it's hard." The car pulled up to Claire's building. She carefully shifted Lily's head onto her father's shoulder. Same time next week? Ethan asked. Claire thought about the extraction deadline. 5 days left now. Maybe, she said. Maybe isn't good enough. It's all I have. She got out before he could argue. The Mercedes pulled away, and Claire watched until the taillights disappeared. Upstairs, the burner phone was waiting. One new message. 5 days. Make them count. Claire looked at Harold the elephant, sitting on her mattress where she'd left him. I'm trying, she whispered to the empty room. Then she lay down and tried not to think about goodbyes. Wednesday morning arrived with the kind of cold that made Claire's breath fog inside her apartment. The radiator clanked and hissed but produced no actual heat, same as always. She sat on her mattress with Harold the elephant, drinking instant coffee that tasted like regret, and tried to figure out how to make 4 days matter. Her regular phone had been quiet since last night. No texts from Ethan, no calls from Lily. Just the steady accumulation of missed calls from numbers she didn't recognize. Probably reporters. Probably people wanting to turn her viral moment into something they could monetize. The burner phone stayed silent too, which was somehow worse. Silence meant they were planning, calculating, preparing her extraction whether she cooperated or not. Around 10 a.m., someone knocked. Claire checked the peephole, expecting Richard or another delivery guy. Instead, Ethan Blackwell stood in her hallway holding 2 paper coffee cups and a white bakery bag. Claire opened the door. What are you doing here? Bringing breakfast. He held up the cups. I didn't know how you take your coffee, so I got 1 black and 1 with cream and sugar. Your choice. It's Wednesday. Don't you have a company to run? I'm delegating. He looked past her into the apartment. Can I come in? Claire hesitated. Letting him in felt dangerous. Not physically. She could handle herself in a fight if it came to that, but dangerous in the way that mattered more, the way that made her want things she couldn't have. 5 minutes, she said, stepping aside. Ethan walked in and stopped just inside the door, taking in the space, the mattress on the floor, the hot plate, the single window. His expression didn't change, but Claire saw the slight tightening around his eyes. You're judging, she said. I'm observing. Same thing. No. Judging would be wondering why you choose to live like this when you clearly have the skills to do better. Observing is noting that you live like someone who expects to leave at any moment. Claire took the coffee with cream and sugar. You're annoyingly perceptive. Years of reading contracts and poker faces. He set the bakery bag on her makeshift counter, a board balanced across milk crates, croissants. Still warm. Why are you really here? Ethan turned to face her. In the morning light filtering through her dirty window, he looked less like the billionaire from the tabloids and more like someone who hadn't slept well. The gray at his temples seemed more pronounced. His expensive sweater was wrinkled. Lily woke up at 2 a.m. last night, he said. She had a nightmare. She wanted me to sit with her until she fell back asleep. That's good, right? She asked for you. It's the first time she's done that in 5 years. Usually she just cries alone until her nanny hears her. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there on the edge of her bed feeling completely useless while my 8-year-old tried not to cry in front of me. Did you ask her what the nightmare was about? Yes. What did she say? She said she dreamed that you disappeared and she never saw you again. Ethan met Claire's eyes. I told her that wouldn't happen. Was I lying? Claire's coffee suddenly tasted like ash. I don't know. That's not reassuring. Nothing about this situation is reassuring. Ethan set down his coffee cup. I need to know what I'm working with here. Are you in witness protection, running from an abusive ex, hiding from debt collectors? Because whatever it is, I can help. I have resources, lawyers, security. You can't help with this. Try me. Claire walked to the window and looked out at the brick wall that was her view. 3 years ago, I worked for a private intelligence contractor, the kind that doesn't officially exist. We did corporate espionage mostly, stealing data, exposing corruption, blackmailing people who needed blackmailing. She felt Ethan's attention sharpen behind her. I was good at it, she continued. Too good. I found something I wasn't supposed to find. Evidence of a pipeline deal between a U.S. shipping conglomerate and a foreign government. Except it wasn't just a shipping deal, it was weapons trafficking disguised as commercial cargo. Billions of dollars. Hundreds of people involved, including some very high-ranking government officials. Which conglomerate? Ethan's voice was carefully neutral. Claire turned to look at him. Take a guess? Understanding dawned across his face. No. Blackwell Maritime. Your company. Your father's company, technically, since he was CEO at the time. But you were VP of operations. You signed off on half the shipping manifests I saw. The color drained from Ethan's face. That's impossible. Is it? I would never, my father would never, your father would absolutely do exactly that if the profit margin was high enough. And he did, for 7 years, until I uncovered it. Ethan sat down heavily on her mattress, right next to Harold the elephant. He looked genuinely shaken. What happened? He asked quietly. I tried to blow the whistle, went to my supervisor first, then his supervisor. Turns out they were all in on it. So I grabbed everything I could carry and ran, made it to a safe house in Baltimore, started putting together a case to take to the FBI. And someone burned down the safe house with me supposedly inside it. The official report said Claire Morrison died in the fire along with all the evidence. No body recovered because the fire was hot enough to turn bone to ash. Claire Morrison, Ethan repeated. That's your real name. Was my real name. That person's dead now. I made sure of it. Ethan looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. How did you survive? Got lucky. Smelled the accelerant before they lit it. Went out a back window. Watched the whole building go up from 3 blocks away. Claire's hands tightened around her coffee cup. Then I called the only person I could still trust. Someone from my training days who'd gotten out of the game. They helped me disappear. New identity, new city, new life. Been jumping every 12 to 18 months ever since. Why waitressing? Because it's invisible. Nobody looks twice at waitstaff. You can blend in, collect cash tips, avoid paper trails. It's perfect for people who need to not exist. Until you went viral. Until I went viral, Claire agreed. 14 months of being invisible, destroyed in 30 seconds because I couldn't watch a little girl hurt herself trying to hurt everyone else. Ethan stood up and walked to the window, standing next to her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something subtle and expensive that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The weapons trafficking, he said. Does it still exist? I don't know. Your father died 2 years ago. You took over. Maybe you cleaned it up. Maybe you didn't. I've been too busy surviving to keep tabs. It doesn't exist. His voice was hard. When I became CEO, I audited everything. Every contract, every shipping route, every dollar. I found irregularities in my father's records. Nothing concrete, but enough to make me suspicious. I shut down 6 international operations and fired 23 executives. If there was weapons trafficking happening, I killed it. Good for you. You don't believe me. I don't know you well enough to believe or not believe you. Ethan turned to face her. They were close enough now that she could see the individual gray hairs at his temples, the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the exhaustion etched into the corners of his eyes. If I'm being honest, he said, I always wondered what my father was really doing. He kept certain operations locked down tight, wouldn't let me or anyone else see the full picture. When he died and I got access to everything, some of the numbers didn't make sense. Revenue appearing from nowhere, expenses that seemed inflated, but I could never prove anything. Because he was smart enough to bury it deep. Because he was exactly the kind of man who'd sell weapons if the price was right. Ethan's jaw tightened. I spent my entire life trying not to become him, trying to prove I was different, better. And now you're telling me I might have been part of it without even knowing. You signed shipping manifests. That's not the same as knowing what was in the containers. It's close enough. They stood there in silence. Outside, a siren wailed past. Someone on the street below shouted something in Spanish. Life continued, indifferent to the secrets being traded in a 5th-floor walk-up. Are you going to turn me in? Claire asked. For what? Being a whistleblower who got burned? For trying to do the right thing? For having evidence that could destroy what's left of your father's reputation? For knowing things about your company that you probably wish I didn't know? Ethan laughed. It came out bitter. My father's reputation is already destroyed as far as I'm concerned. He was a bastard who cared more about money than people. If you have evidence of that, it only confirms what I already knew. He paused. Do you still have the evidence? Some of it. Digital copies, encrypted, scattered across servers in 3 countries. If anything happens to me, it automatically gets released to every major news outlet. Smart. Necessary. Who else knows you're alive? The person who helped me disappear. A few people in the intelligence community who've been keeping me off the radar. And now you. The people chasing you, are they government or private? Both. The government officials involved want me dead because I can expose them. The private contractors want me dead because I embarrassed them by escaping. It's a fun combination. Ethan pulled out his phone. Claire's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. What are you doing? She demanded. Calling Richard. If you're in danger. No. No security, no lawyers, no cavalry coming to rescue me. That's how people get killed. The more people who know I'm alive, the bigger the target on my back. I can protect you. You can't. Nobody can. These aren't muggers or stalkers. They're professionals. They'll wait until you think it's safe, and then they'll strike when you're not looking. So what's your plan? Keep running forever? Claire released his wrist. That was the plan, yeah. And now? Now I have 4 days to make a difference in your daughter's life before I disappear again. That's it. That's the whole plan. Ethan stared at her. 4 days. That's your timeline. That's what I've got. What happens in 4 days? I get extracted. New identity, new city, new life. Claire Bennett dies the same way Claire Morrison died, except this time there won't be any evidence to leave behind. Does Lily know? Of course not. You're just going to vanish without saying goodbye? Claire felt something crack in her chest. Yes. That'll destroy her. Better temporarily destroyed than permanently dead because someone used her to get to me. You don't know that would happen. I can't risk finding out. Ethan paced across her small apartment. 3 steps, turn, 3 steps back. His expensive shoes sounded wrong against her cheap linoleum floor. There has to be another way, he said. There isn't. Let me hire private security. Real security, not the corporate kind. Ex-special forces. People who know how to handle threats. They'll kill the security first. Then let me move you somewhere safe. A property I own that's not connected to my name. Somewhere remote where nobody would think to look. And how long before someone notices you sneaking off to this secret property? How long before they connect the dots? Claire shook her head. You're not thinking clearly. You're trying to solve this like a business problem. It's not. It's a survival problem. And the only way to survive is to disappear. What about Lily? What about her? She needs you. She needs her father. I'm just the person who pointed that out. She needs both of us. Claire walked to the mattress and picked up Harold the elephant, turned it over in her hands. The stitching was already coming loose on one ear from how tightly Lily must have hugged it before putting it in the box. I'm going to ask you something, she said quietly, and I need you to be honest. Okay. If I told you that keeping me around would put Lily in danger, real, genuine, life-threatening danger, would you still want me to stay? Ethan didn't hesitate. No. Then you understand why I have to go. But I don't think keeping you around would put her in danger. I think you're catastrophizing. I watched 3 people get killed in Baltimore for helping me. Shot execution style in their homes while their families slept in other rooms. These aren't people who make threats. They make examples. That stopped Ethan cold. Christ. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was that serious. Now you do. He sat back down on the mattress, shoulders slumped. For the first time since Claire had met him, Ethan Blackwell looked defeated. So we have 4 days, he said. 4 days. What do you want to do with them? Claire thought about Lily's face when she ate that cheeseburger, about her asking if Claire would come back, about the nightmare where Claire disappeared. I want to teach you how to be her father, Claire said. For real this time. Not surface-level stuff like having dinner together, the deep work, the hard conversations, the showing up even when it's uncomfortable. In 4 days. It's not enough time, I know that. But it's what we have. Ethan nodded slowly. Okay. Where do we start? We start with you canceling everything on your calendar for the next 4 days. I can't just... Yes, you can. You're the CEO. You can do whatever you want. And what you want is to spend these 4 days learning how to connect with your daughter before the one person who seemed to understand her vanishes forever. That's manipulative. That's the truth. Ethan pulled out his phone and started typing. I'm clearing my schedule. All of it? All of it. I'll keep the phone for emergencies, but otherwise I'm yours, both of you. He looked up at her. What else? Pack a bag. Comfortable clothes, nothing that screams billionaire. Where are we going? Somewhere Lily can be a kid without worrying about who's watching or what people think. Somewhere you can be her dad without your corporate armor. Claire smiled faintly. We're going camping. Ethan blinked. Camping. Yep. I haven't been camping since I was 12. Perfect. Neither has Lily. You'll figure it out together. In November, in New York. It's not that cold yet, and there's a place upstate that rents cabins. Heat, running water, but still outdoorsy enough to feel real. You've thought this through. I've had a lot of time to think lately. Claire grabbed a piece of paper and scribbled an address. Pick me up tomorrow at 6 a.m. Tell Lily to bring Harold. Ethan took the paper. You're coming with us. Someone has to make sure you don't try to expense the trip. He almost smiled. What do I tell people? My board, my assistants, everyone who expects me to be available? Tell them you're taking a long weekend with your daughter. If they have a problem with that, they're not worth working with. The shareholders will survive 4 days without you micromanaging. I promise. Ethan stood, coffee and croissants forgotten. Thank you. For what? For giving me a chance to do this right. Don't thank me yet. Wait until you're trying to start a campfire at midnight because Lily wants s'mores, and you don't remember how flint and steel work. That's oddly specific. Trust me, it'll happen. He walked to the door, then paused. The evidence you have. The stuff about my father and the weapons trafficking. After you're gone, what happens to it? Claire met his eyes. Nothing. It stays buried as long as nobody comes after me or the people who helped me. But if something happens, if I don't check in with my contact every 72 hours, it all goes public. Automatic release. No way to stop it. So I have a vested interest in keeping you alive. You have a vested interest in letting me disappear peacefully. There's a difference. Ethan nodded. 6 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be here. Ethan? He turned back. When Lily asks why we're going camping, tell her the truth. That you want to spend time with her because you've missed too much already, and you're trying to fix it. Don't make it about me. Make it about you and her. What if she doesn't believe me? Then prove it to her. After he left, Claire sat on her mattress for a long time, holding Harold and staring at nothing. The burner phone buzzed. She pulled it out. 3 days. Status? Claire. Under control. 1 more week. You already asked for 1 more week. Request denied. Claire. Then I'm not coming. A pause. Then, you don't have a choice. Claire. I always have a choice. You taught me that. If you don't show up for extraction, we can't protect you anymore. Claire. I know. They'll find you. Claire. I know that too. This is suicide. Claire looked at Harold the elephant. Thought about Lily's nightmare. About Ethan's face when he talked about sitting with his daughter at 2 a.m., not knowing what to do. Maybe, she typed. But at least it'll mean something. She turned off the phone before they could respond. The rest of Wednesday passed in a blur of preparation. Claire borrowed camping gear from a neighbor who owed her a favor, 2 sleeping bags, a battery-powered lantern, a camp stove. She bought supplies at the dollar store with what little cash she had left. Marshmallows, chocolate bars, graham crackers, hot dogs and buns, trail mix and bottled water. By midnight, everything was packed in a duffel bag that had seen better days. Claire lay on her mattress, too wired to sleep, watching the shadows on her ceiling shift as cars passed on the street below. Her regular phone buzzed. Text from Ethan. Lily wants to know if you're really coming. Claire. Tell her yes. And tell her to wear layers. Gets cold at night. Ethan. She's already packed 3 bags. We're only going for 2 nights. Claire smiled despite everything. Let her bring what makes her feel safe. Ethan. Thank you for all of this. Claire. Thank me when we get back. She turned off the phone and closed her eyes. Thursday morning came too fast. At 5:45 a.m., Claire was already dressed and waiting when she heard the elevator ding down the hall. She grabbed her duffel bag, and Harold locked her apartment and met Ethan and Lily at the stairs. Lily wore jeans, a purple jacket, and had Harold's twin elephant tucked under one arm. You brought him, Claire said. Lily beamed. His name is Herbert. They're brothers now. Perfect. Harold and Herbert, the adventure elephants. They loaded into the Mercedes, different car this time, an SUV instead of the sedan. Richard was driving. Claire had argued against bringing security, but Ethan had compromised. Richard would drive them up and come back Sunday to pick them up. No hovering, no surveillance, just transportation. The drive upstate took 2 hours. Lily talked the entire time about school, about a girl named Maya who'd shared her lunch, about a book she was reading with a dragon who was secretly a princess. Claire listened and asked questions. Ethan listened too, really listened, and Claire could see him cataloging every detail like he was studying for a test. The cabin was exactly what Claire had promised. Rustic but not primitive. 1 bedroom with a queen bed, a loft with 2 twins, a kitchen with a working stove and fridge, a fireplace that actually worked. Surrounded by trees that had mostly lost their leaves, overlooking a lake that reflected the gray November sky like brushed steel. Richard unloaded their bags and left without ceremony. The sound of his engine fading into the distance felt final somehow. "It's quiet," Lily said, "like really quiet." "No sirens," Claire agreed. "No traffic. No people yelling. Just birds and wind. It's weird. Give it an hour. You'll love it." They spent the day exploring. Claire showed Lily how to identify animal tracks in the mud near the lake. Deer, raccoon, something that might have been a fox. Ethan tried to help and mostly got in the way, but he was trying, which was what mattered. For lunch, they made sandwiches and ate them on the cabin's porch. Lily swung her legs from the bench, getting crumbs everywhere, looking more relaxed than Claire had ever seen her. "Can we do the campfire tonight?" Lily asked. "Absolutely," Claire said, "but your dad's in charge of building it." Ethan looked alarmed. "I don't remember how. Then you'll learn together. I'll supervise." That evening, as the sun started to set, Claire watched Ethan and Lily crouch by the fire pit, arguing good-naturedly about where to stack the kindling. Lily insisted on a teepee shape. Ethan thought a log cabin style was more stable. They compromised on something that was neither and looked ready to collapse. Claire handed Ethan the matches. "Your fire. Your responsibility." He struck 3 matches before getting the kindling to catch. Lily cheered when the flames actually held. They fed it bigger sticks, then logs, until they had a real fire crackling and popping in the November darkness. "We did it!" Lily threw her arms around her father. Ethan hugged her back, and over Lily's shoulder his eyes met Claire's. She saw gratitude there, and something else, something that made her chest tight. They roasted hot dogs that fell in the fire, made s'mores that were burned on the outside and cold in the middle, told stories that got progressively more ridiculous. Lily laughed until she hiccuped. Around 9 p.m., Lily started yawning. Claire sent her inside to get ready for bed while she and Ethan banked the fire. "She's happy," Ethan said quietly. "She's been happy before. The difference is you're here to see it. I should have done this years ago. You're doing it now. That's what counts." "Is it enough?" Claire looked at him across the dying fire. "I don't know, but it's a start." Lily called from inside the cabin. "Dad, Claire, come read with me." They went inside. Lily had claimed the queen bed, surrounding herself with both elephants and every pillow she could find. Claire sat on one side, Ethan on the other. Lily handed her father a book, the Dragon Princess one she'd been talking about. Ethan read out loud. His voice was awkward at first, stumbling over the fantasy names, but Lily didn't care. She just snuggled deeper into the pillows, listening. By chapter 3, she was asleep. Ethan kept reading anyway, his voice soft, like he was afraid stopping would break the spell. Claire gently touched his arm. "She's out." He looked down at his daughter, her face peaceful in sleep. "When did she get so big?" "While you weren't looking." "That's not fair." "No, but it's true." They carefully extracted themselves from the bed. Claire pulled a blanket over Lily. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching his daughter sleep like he'd never seen her before. "I missed everything," he whispered. "Not everything. You're here now. For 2 more days. Then you're gone." Claire didn't have an answer for that. They went back outside. The fire had burned down to embers. Claire added another log and watched sparks spiral up into the darkness. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said. "Sure." "When you leave, where will you go?" "I don't know yet. They'll decide when the time comes." "Will you be able to contact me? Let me know you're safe." "No, clean breaks are the only kind that work." "What if I need to find you?" "You won't be able to. That's the point." Ethan poked at the fire with a stick. This is going to wreck her. I know. Is there really no other way? Claire thought about the people who died helping her, about the warehouse fire, about 3 years of looking over her shoulder and sleeping with her shoes on. No, she said. There isn't. They sat in silence, watching the fire burn, both thinking about endings they couldn't stop. Morning came with frost on the windows and the smell of pine needles. Claire woke on the couch where she'd eventually crashed around midnight, still wearing yesterday's clothes, her neck stiff from the awkward angle. Through the window, she could see the lake shrouded in mist, looking like something from a painting nobody would believe was real. She heard voices from upstairs. Lily's high and excited, Ethan's lower and uncertain. They were arguing about pancakes. But I want to make them myself, Lily insisted. You're 8, the stove is hot. So, stand next to me. Claire said you're supposed to let me try things. I don't think she meant cooking unsupervised. I won't be unsupervised if you're right there. Claire smiled and stayed quiet on the couch, listening to Ethan realize he'd been outmaneuvered by an 8-year-old. Fine, he said, but I'm holding the spatula. Deal. 10 minutes later, the smell of burning batter filled the cabin. Claire got up and wandered into the kitchen. Lily stood on a chair in front of the stove, wielding a whisk like a weapon. Ethan hovered beside her, spatula ready, looking more nervous than Claire had ever seen him during a corporate negotiation. Morning, Claire said. We're making pancakes, Lily announced. Well, Dad's making them. I'm helping. Looks great. Ethan gave her a look that clearly said, help me. But Claire just poured herself coffee from the pot he'd somehow managed to brew and watched the disaster unfold. The first pancake was black on one side and raw on the other. The second one stuck to the pan. The third one actually looked edible, and Lily cheered like they'd won a championship. I did it! She turned to hug her father, nearly knocking him into the stove. We did it, Ethan corrected, steadying her. Team effort. They ate the salvageable pancakes with syrup and butter. Lily talked about wanting to explore the woods, maybe find the fox whose tracks they'd seen. Ethan mentioned there was a trail that looped around the lake, maybe a 2-mile hike. Can we go now? Lily asked. After dishes, Ethan said. Lily groaned but didn't argue. They cleaned up together, Lily washing, Ethan drying, Claire putting things away. It felt absurdly domestic, dangerous even, like Claire was accidentally stepping into a life that wasn't hers and couldn't ever be. The hike started well. The trail was clearly marked, the morning was cold but not freezing, and Lily bounded ahead like she'd been hiking her whole life instead of spending most of her 8 years in Manhattan penthouses. Stay where we can see you, Ethan called. I'm fine. Lily, Dad, I'm literally 10 feet ahead of you. Relax. Claire glanced at Ethan. You're going to have to let her be out of arm's reach eventually. I know that intellectually. Emotionally, I'm panicking. Welcome to parenting. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. The forest around them was mostly bare branches and brown leaves, but there was something beautiful about it anyway. Honest, no pretense. Lily found a stick that looked like a sword and started fighting invisible enemies. Ethan watched her with an expression Claire couldn't quite read. What are you thinking? She asked. That I have no idea who she is. My own daughter, and I couldn't tell you her favorite color or what she wants to be when she grows up or what scares her besides losing people. So ask her. Now? Why not? Ethan called ahead. Lily, what's your favorite color? Lily stopped mid-sword fight. What? Your favorite color? What is it? Purple? Why? Just wondering, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know. I'm 8. Why are you being weird? I'm not being weird. I'm asking questions. You never ask questions. I'm asking now. Lily studied her father suspiciously. Are you sick or something? Claire bit back a laugh. Ethan looked mortified. I'm not sick. I'm trying to be a better dad. Oh. Lily considered this. Okay, well, purple. And maybe a veterinarian or an astronaut. I haven't decided. Both are good options. I know. She went back to fighting invisible enemies. Ethan looked at Claire. That was awkward, he muttered. That was honest. She'll get used to it. They kept walking. The trail wound through the trees, occasionally opening up to views of the lake. Claire pointed out different types of trees, oak, maple, birch. Ethan admitted he couldn't tell them apart. Lily decided to give them all names instead. Harold Tree, Herbert Tree, Susan Tree. Why Susan? Claire asked. Because it looks like a Susan. Hard to argue with that logic. Around noon, they stopped at a clearing overlooking the water. Claire unpacked the sandwiches they'd made that morning. Lily sat on a fallen log, swinging her legs, looking more relaxed than Claire had ever seen her. Can I ask you something? Lily said to Claire. Sure. Why do you like us? The question hung in the cold air. Ethan stopped mid-bite. What do you mean? Claire asked carefully. Everyone else likes us because we're rich, or because they work for Dad, or because they want something. But you don't want anything, so why do you like us? Claire thought about how to answer. The truth was too complicated. The lie was too easy. I like you, she said finally, because you're real. You say what you think. You don't pretend to be someone you're not. That's rare. But I'm mean sometimes. Everybody's mean sometimes. The difference is whether you're mean on purpose or mean because you're hurting. Which one am I? What do you think? Lily was quiet for a moment. The second one. But I'm trying to be better. I know you are. And Dad? Lily looked at her father. Why do you like Dad? Ethan choked on his sandwich. Claire tried not to smile. Your dad's trying too, Claire said. He's figuring out how to show up for you. That takes courage. He's always been here. Being in the same room isn't the same as showing up. Showing up means actually paying attention, listening, caring about the small stuff, not just the big stuff. Lily nodded like this made sense. Do you have a dad? The question hit Claire harder than she expected. I did. He died a long time ago. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. Do you miss him? Every day. What was he like? Claire thought about her father, the real one, not the fabricated backstory in her Claire Bennett file. Her actual father, who taught her to throw a baseball and make terrible puns and question everything she read. He was kind, Claire said, and funny, and he always made me feel like I mattered, like what I thought and felt was important. That's what dads are supposed to do, Lily said matter-of-factly. Ethan looked like he'd been punched. They finished lunch in silence. On the hike back, Lily walked between them instead of ahead, occasionally taking Claire's hand or her father's hand or both at the same time, making them form a chain. Don't let go, she instructed. They didn't. Back at the cabin, Lily announced she wanted to read by the fire. Ethan started working on getting it going again. Better this time, less fumbling. Claire made hot chocolate with the instant packets she'd brought. Lily curled up on this couch with her dragon book and Harold the elephant. Within 20 minutes, she was asleep, the book open on her chest. Claire covered her with a blanket. Ethan sat on the floor near the fireplace, staring into the flames. You okay? Claire asked quietly. She asked you about your dad, not me. She knows you. Does she? Because I'm not sure I know her. You're learning. That's what this is about. What if it's too late? It's not too late. She's 8. You have years to build this. Unless you leave and she decides I'm not worth trusting anymore. Claire sat down next to him on the floor. The fire crackled between them, throwing shadows on the walls. She won't stop trusting you because I leave, Claire said. She might be angry or hurt, but those are different things. You're her dad. That's permanent. I'm just someone passing through who helped you both see what you already had. You're more than that. To Lily, maybe, but I can't be. You know that. Ethan turned to look at her. In the firelight, his face looked younger, less guarded. What if I don't want you to go? He said quietly. Claire's heart stuttered. Ethan, I know what you said, about the danger and the people chasing you and all of it, but what if we found another way? What if I could actually protect you? You can't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I've seen what they do to people. I've watched them kill 3 people for helping me. They don't negotiate. They don't compromise. They eliminate problems. Then let me eliminate them first. With what? Money? Lawyers? Those don't stop bullets? With better security. Real security. People who've dealt with this kind of thing before. Claire shook her head. You're not listening. These aren't random criminals. They're connected. Government agencies, private contractors, international networks. You can't just hire bodyguards and hope it works out. So you run forever? That's the answer? That's survival. That's existing. It's not living. Maybe not. But it's better than getting everyone around me killed. Ethan stood up, paced to the window, stared out at the darkening forest. There has to be something. Some way to make this work. There isn't. And the sooner you accept that, the easier it'll be when I'm gone. I don't want it to be easy. Tough, because I need it to be easy. I need to know you and Lily will be okay after I leave. That you'll keep doing this, the camping trips, the terrible pancakes, the actual parenting. I need to know this wasn't for nothing. Ethan turned back to face her. It's not for nothing. You've changed everything. Changed us. Then my job is done. Is it? Because it doesn't feel done. It feels like we're just getting started. The burner phone in Claire's pocket buzzed. She ignored it. I have 2 days left, she said. Let's make them count instead of arguing about things we can't change. Ethan looked like he wanted to keep fighting, but Lily stirred on the couch, mumbling something about dragons. They both went quiet. Fine, Ethan said finally. 2 days, but I'm not giving up on finding a solution. There isn't one. Then I'll make one. Claire stood up and walked to the door. I'm going for a walk. Watch Lily. She left before he could respond. Outside, the cold bit through her jacket immediately. Claire walked down to the lake, her breath fogging in the November air. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple that hurt to look at because they were so beautiful and she'd probably never see this place again. The burner phone buzzed again. This time she pulled it out. 2 days. Extraction point will be sent 24 hours in advance. Be ready. Claire. Understood. Any complications? She thought about Ethan asking what if, about Lily sleeping on the couch with her elephant, about the last 2 days feeling more real than the last 3 years combined. No complications, she lied. Good. Don't make us come find you. The phone went dead. Claire threw a rock into the lake and watched the ripples spread out until they disappeared. When she got back to the cabin, dinner was in progress. Ethan had found pasta and jarred sauce in the supplies. Lily was setting the table with elaborate care, making sure each fork was perfectly aligned. You're back, Lily said. Dad's making spaghetti. It might be terrible. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Ethan called from the kitchen. I'm being realistic. Claire hung up her jacket. Need help? We got it, Lily said proudly. We're a team now. The spaghetti was actually decent. They ate at the small wooden table, Lily talking about the dream she'd had during her nap, something involving the dragon from her book and Herbert the elephant saving a kingdom. Herbert's very brave, Ethan said seriously. Obviously. He's an adventure elephant. After dinner, Lily wanted to play cards. They found a deck in one of the cabin's drawers and played Go Fish until Lily kept winning and they suspected she was cheating but couldn't prove it. You're a card shark, Claire accused. I don't know what that means. It means you're suspiciously good at this. Lily grinned. Maybe I'm just smart. Maybe you're peeking at the deck when we're not looking. Prove it. Ethan laughed. Actually laughed. Claire had never heard him laugh before. Not like this, genuine and unguarded. Around 9 p.m., Lily started yawning again. They went through the bedtime routine, teeth brushed, pajamas on, both elephants arranged just right on the pillows. Will you tell me a story? Lily asked. Not from a book, a real story. Claire looked at Ethan. He nodded. They both sat on the bed. Claire thought for a moment, then began. Once there was a girl who was very good at hiding. She could hide from anything, people, problems, even herself. She got so good at hiding that sometimes she forgot what she looked like when she wasn't pretending to be someone else. Lily listened, eyes wide. One day, the girl met a family who was very good at hiding too. They hid behind money and busy schedules and saying everything was fine when it wasn't. And when the girl saw them hiding, she recognized it. Because that's what good hiders do. They see each other. What happened? Lily whispered. The girl decided to stop hiding, just for a little while. And the family decided to stop hiding too. And even though they knew it couldn't last forever, those few days when nobody was hiding were the most real days any of them had ever lived. Does it have a happy ending? Claire touched Lily's hair gently. It has an honest ending. Sometimes that's better. Lily was quiet for a moment. Is the girl you? Maybe. Are we the family? What do you think? I think we are. Lily grabbed Claire's hand. I don't want you to hide anymore. Claire's throat tightened. Sometimes hiding is necessary. But not always, right? Not always. Lily seemed to accept this. She yawned hugely and snuggled into her pillows, flanked by both elephants. "Love you," she mumbled, already half asleep. "Love you too," Ethan said. Lily's eyes opened slightly. "Not you, Dad. I was talking to Claire." Claire felt something break and remake itself in her chest simultaneously. "Love you too, kiddo." Lily smiled and closed her eyes. They waited until her breathing evened out, then quietly left the room. Downstairs, the fire had burned down to embers again. Ethan added logs without being asked. They sat on the couch together, not touching, both staring at the flames. "She loves you," Ethan said. "I know. This is going to destroy her when you leave." "I know that too. And you're still going." "I have to." Ethan turned to look at her. "Do you love her back? Or was that just something you said to make her feel better?" Claire met his eyes. "I love her. That's why I have to go." "That doesn't make sense." "It makes perfect sense. If I love her, I protect her. And the only way to protect her is to disappear before the people hunting me figure out she matters." "What if they already know?" Claire's blood went cold. "What?" "The video. It went viral. Millions of people saw you with us. If someone's really looking for you, they've already connected you to Lily and me. Leaving now doesn't erase that. Then I leave and make sure they follow me instead of coming after you. Or you stay and we face it together. Together means you and Lily get caught in the crossfire. I can't let that happen." "You keep saying that, but maybe it's not your decision to make alone." "It's absolutely my decision. It's my past, my mess, my responsibility to clean up." "What about your future?" The question hung between them. Outside, an owl called. The fire popped. Time seemed to slow down. "I don't get a future," Claire said quietly. "I get survival." "There's a difference." "There doesn't have to be." "Yes, there does. That's the cost. That's what I accepted when I took those files and ran." Ethan stood up, paced to the window, turned back. "What if I told you I've been running my own investigation?" he said. Claire went still. "What?" "Into my father's operations. Into the weapons trafficking you mentioned. I've spent the last 2 days making calls, pulling records, talking to people who knew what he was really doing." "Ethan, let me finish. I found evidence. Not everything, but enough. Shipping manifests that don't match inventory. Payments to shell corporations in countries we supposedly don't do business with. Communications between my father and people who are definitely not legitimate business partners." Claire's heart hammered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you were right. My father was trafficking weapons, and I'm going to expose it." "You can't." "Why not? You were willing to die for this information. Why shouldn't I be willing to risk my reputation?" "Because you have Lily. You have a company. You have a life people depend on. And you don't have a life at all. How is that fair?" "It's not about fair. It's about survival." "No." Ethan walked back to the couch, sat down close enough that their knees touched. "It's about doing the right thing. You tried to do the right thing 3 years ago and it nearly killed you. Now it's my turn." Claire shook her head. "You expose this, you become a target too." "Maybe. But I have resources you didn't have. Security, lawyers, connections. I can go public in a way that protects me." "And Lily?" "I'll protect Lily. That's not negotiable." "By painting a target on your back? By finishing what you started? By making sure my father's crimes don't stay buried just because it's convenient for the people involved?" Claire stood up, needing distance. "This is insane. You can't just decide to blow up your life because you feel guilty about me leaving. This isn't about guilt. It's about accountability. It's about making sure the truth matters. The truth gets people killed. So does silence." They stared at each other. The fire crackled. Upstairs, Lily mumbled something in her sleep. "I can't let you do this," Claire said. "You can't stop me." "Ethan, I've already made the decision. Monday morning, I'm calling a press conference. I'm going to release everything I've found about my father's operations. I'm going to offer full cooperation with any federal investigations. And I'm going to make it very clear that anyone who helped cover this up is going down with him." "They'll come after you. Let them try. They'll use Lily to get to you." Then I'll make sure she's protected. Security, safe houses, whatever it takes. You're gambling with your daughter's life. I'm showing my daughter that some things are worth fighting for, that doing the right thing matters more than being comfortable. Claire felt tears building behind her eyes. You don't know what you're getting into. Then teach me. You survived 3 years on the run. Help me figure out how to survive this. By not doing it in the first place. Too late. I'm doing it. Why? The word came out raw, desperate. Claire heard it hanging in the air and hated how vulnerable it sounded. Ethan reached out and took her hand. His grip was warm, solid. Because you shouldn't have to disappear, he said quietly. Because what happened to you was wrong, and someone needs to make it right. Because my daughter deserves to grow up knowing that the truth matters more than protecting powerful people. And because, he paused, because I don't want you to go. Claire's tears finally escaped. That's not a good enough reason to destroy your life. It's the only reason that matters. They sat there, hands linked, both knowing they were standing at the edge of something that couldn't be undone. If you do this, Claire said, everything changes. Your life, Lily's life, everything. You can't take it back. I know. People will attack you, the media, your board, everyone who benefited from your father's silence. I know. You might lose the company. I don't care about the company. I care about doing the right thing. Claire wiped her eyes. When did you become this person? When someone showed me that being powerful and being afraid aren't the same thing. He squeezed her hand. When did you stop believing anyone would fight for you? The question hit harder than anything else he could have said. 3 years ago, Claire whispered, when everyone I trusted either died or betrayed me. I'm not them. I know. So trust me. Help me do this right. Claire looked at him, really looked at him, saw past the billionaire facade to the father who'd made terrible pancakes and couldn't identify trees and was willing to burn his whole life down because it was the right thing to do. Okay, she heard herself say, I'll help you, but we do this smart. We plan everything. We make sure Lily's safe first, then we go public. Ethan smiled, actually smiled. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. I'm aware people are going to come after us, both of us. Let them. You really have changed. I had a good teacher. They sat together by the fire, planning their war against people who wouldn't see it coming. Somewhere upstairs, Lily slept peacefully, dreaming about dragons and elephants, unaware that her world was about to crack wide open and remake itself into something completely different. Claire's burner phone buzzed one more time. She pulled it out and read the message. Extraction coordinates, 40.7589 degrees north, 73.9851 degrees west. Sunday, 11 p.m. Don't be late. She typed back, change of plans. I'm not coming. The response was immediate. This isn't optional. Claire, watch me. She turned off the phone and threw it into the fire. Ethan watched it burn. No going back now. No going back, Claire agreed. They stayed up until dawn, planning every detail of the press conference, the security measures, the contingencies. Making lists, building strategies, preparing for war. When the sun finally came up, painting the lake gold, they were still sitting together on the couch, surrounded by notes and empty coffee cups. Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, rubbing her eyes. Why are you guys still awake? Ethan and Claire looked at each other. We were planning something, Ethan said. Planning what? How to make sure Claire doesn't have to leave. Lily's face lit up like the sunrise. Really? Really? She ran down the stairs and threw herself at both of them, nearly knocking over a coffee cup. You're staying? She asked Claire. Maybe, Claire said, if we can figure out how to make it safe. We'll figure it out, Lily said with the absolute certainty only an 8-year-old could muster. We're a team now. Claire held her close and thought about all the ways this could go wrong, all the people who would try to stop them, all the danger they were walking into. And for the first time in 3 years, she thought maybe it was worth it. Sunday came too fast and not fast enough. Richard picked them up at noon exactly, the black SUV appearing through the trees like a hearse. Claire watched Lily's face fall as they loaded their bags, the reality settling in that the cabin, their small bubble of normal, was about to pop. Can we come back? Lily asked, clutching both elephants. Absolutely, Ethan said. He meant it. Claire could hear it in his voice. The drive back to Manhattan felt different than the drive up. Heavier. They were returning to a city that didn't know what was about to hit it. Tomorrow morning, Ethan would stand in front of cameras and journalists and destroy his father's legacy. By tomorrow night, they'd either be vindicated or ruined. Claire had spent the last day drilling Ethan on every possible question, every angle the media would take. She'd helped him craft a statement that was clear and direct without being inflammatory. She'd made him practice his delivery until it sounded natural instead of rehearsed. But she couldn't prepare him for what would happen after. Nobody could. Lily fell asleep against Claire's shoulder, somewhere around Poughkeepsie. Richard's eyes kept flicking to the rearview mirror, studying Claire like she was a threat assessment he couldn't quite categorize. He knows, Ethan said quietly. Knows what? That you're not just some waitress. Richard's been with me for 8 years. He can smell secrets. Is that going to be a problem? Probably, but he's loyal. He won't say anything unless I tell him to. Claire looked out the window at the Hudson River sliding past, gray and cold under the November sky. After tomorrow, everyone's going to know everything. Not everything, just the parts that matter. The parts that matter are the dangerous parts. I'm aware. They lapsed into silence. Lily shifted in her sleep, mumbling something about foxes. Claire adjusted her position so the girl wouldn't wake with a crick in her neck. When they pulled up to Claire's building in Washington Heights, the sun was already setting. Richard got out to open the door, but Ethan waved him off. I've got it. Claire carefully transferred Lily to her father's lap. The girl stirred but didn't wake. Ethan held her like she might disappear if he loosened his grip. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., he said. The press conference is at my office. You should be there. I will be. I mean, physically there, in the room, not watching from a TV somewhere. Claire hesitated. That puts a target on my back. The target's already there, at least this way you control the narrative. Or I get arrested the second I show my face. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that. Ethan met her eyes. I'm promising it anyway. Claire got out of the SUV, grabbed her duffel bag from the back. The street looked the same as always. Bodega on the corner, old man with his shopping cart, teenagers clustered around a stoop. Normal life, completely unaware that tomorrow everything would change. Claire, Ethan called. She turned back. Thank you, he said, for everything. Don't thank me until we know if this works. Even if it doesn't work, thank you. Claire nodded and walked into her building. 5 flights up, 3 locks, same apartment that had never felt like home. She dropped her bag on the floor and stood in the middle of the room, listening to the silence. Her regular phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Missed your extraction. This is your only warning. Disappear now or face consequences. Claire deleted it without responding. She pulled out her laptop, ancient, encrypted, buried in layers of security that would take a government agency months to crack. Logged into the cloud storage where she'd hidden the evidence. 3 years of insurance sitting on servers in Iceland, Singapore, and somewhere in Eastern Europe she'd never been able to verify. She downloaded everything. Shipping manifests, payment records, communications, photographs. All the proof that Blackwell Maritime had been moving weapons through commercial shipping lanes for 7 years. All the proof that government officials had looked the other way. All the proof that would burn a lot of powerful people if it saw daylight. Tomorrow, it would. Claire spent the night organizing files, creating backup copies, preparing for every contingency. Around 3 a.m., she finally crashed on her mattress, fully clothed, too wired to actually sleep. At 7 a.m., someone knocked on her door. Claire checked the peephole. Richard stood in the hallway holding a garment bag and a coffee cup. She opened the door. What are you doing here? Mr. Blackwell sent me. Said you'd need appropriate clothing for the press conference and probably hadn't slept enough to remember breakfast. He held up the coffee cup. Black, 2 sugars, I guessed. You guessed right. Richard handed her the garment bag. There's a car downstairs waiting whenever you're ready. Press conference starts at 9. Mr. Blackwell wants you there by 8:30. Richard? Ma'am? Do you know what's happening today? His expression didn't change. I know enough. And you're okay with it? I'm paid to keep Mr. Blackwell and his daughter safe. If you're part of that equation now, then I keep you safe too. My personal opinions don't factor in. But you have them. Richard almost smiled. I think you're either very brave or very stupid. Possibly both. But Lily trusts you and that kid doesn't trust anybody. So you must be doing something right. He left before Claire could respond. The garment bag contained a suit. Navy blue, professional, expensive, but not showy. It fit perfectly. Claire wondered if Ethan had guessed her size or if Richard had somehow acquired her measurements. Both options were slightly disturbing. At 8:15, she locked her apartment and headed downstairs. The Mercedes was waiting. Richard held the door. Neither of them spoke during the drive to Blackwell Maritime headquarters in Midtown. The building was glass and steel, 60 stories of corporate power reaching into the Manhattan sky. Claire had never been inside. She'd only ever seen it from the outside, back when she was still Claire Morrison, still investigating the shipping empire from a distance. Now she was walking through the front doors like she belonged there. Security waved them through. Richard led her to a private elevator that opened directly into Ethan's executive floor. The doors slid open to reveal a space that looked more like a luxury hotel than an office. Art on the walls, real plants, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Ethan was in the conference room, standing at a podium, practicing his statement. He looked up when Claire entered. "You came," he said. "I said I would. I wasn't sure you'd actually show. I threw my extraction phone in a fire. I'm committed now whether I like it or not." Ethan smiled. It looked genuine. "How do I look?" "Like a billionaire about to commit corporate suicide." "Perfect. That's exactly the vibe I was going for." Claire walked to the windows. From up here, Manhattan looked like a game board. Miniature people living miniature lives, completely unaware that in 30 minutes, the rules were about to change. "You scared?" she asked. "Terrified." "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." "What about you?" Claire thought about it. "I'm past scared. I'm in the place where you either survive or you don't, and worrying about it won't change the outcome." "That's dark. That's realistic." The conference room started filling up, lawyers mostly, a PR consultant who looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. Richard took up position by the door, hand never far from his jacket where Claire knew he kept a gun. At 8:45, the journalists started arriving. Print media, TV cameras, bloggers with recorders. They filled the chairs set up in neat rows, chattering among themselves, wondering why Ethan Blackwell had called an emergency press conference. Claire stood in the back, trying to be invisible. It didn't work. A few reporters recognized her from the viral video, started whispering among themselves. She felt their attention like a physical weight. At exactly 9 a.m., Ethan walked to the podium. The room went quiet. "Thank you for coming," he began. His voice was steady, calm. "I'm going to make a statement, and then I'll take questions. This is going to be difficult to hear, but it's necessary." He looked down at his notes, then back up at the cameras. 3 years ago, my father, William Blackwell, was running an illegal weapons trafficking operation through Blackwell Maritime. For 7 years, he used our shipping routes to move weapons to conflict zones around the world. He did this with the knowledge and cooperation of several government officials whose names I will provide to federal investigators. He profited enormously from these operations while people died from the weapons he helped distribute. The room exploded, journalists shouting questions, cameras flashing, the PR consultant looking like she might faint. Ethan held up his hand. "I'm not finished." The noise died down. "When my father died 2 years ago, I inherited the company. I did not inherit knowledge of these operations. I was deliberately kept in the dark, but ignorance is not innocence. I signed manifests without asking enough questions. I approved shipments without demanding full transparency. I was complicit through negligence, and for that, I take full responsibility." Claire watched him own it, watched him stand there and admit fault without making excuses. Something in her chest loosened. "I've spent the last 2 weeks conducting an internal investigation. I have documentation proving these operations existed. I am turning over all evidence to the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the International Criminal Court. I am cooperating fully with any investigations, and I am personally funding a victims' compensation program for anyone harmed by weapons that move through our shipping network." A reporter stood up. "Mr. Blackwell, are you saying you didn't know what your own company was doing?" "I'm saying I didn't ask hard enough questions. I'm saying I trusted my father when I should have verified. I'm saying I failed in my responsibility as an executive and as a human being. Will you resign as CEO? That's up to the board, but I'm prepared to step down if that's what's necessary for accountability. Who brought this to your attention? How did you find out? Ethan looked directly at Claire. Someone braver than me tried to expose this 3 years ago. They were nearly killed for it. They've been in hiding ever since, and they're the reason I'm standing here today trying to make this right. Every camera in the room turned to follow his gaze. Claire felt 100 eyes land on her simultaneously. A reporter recognized her. That's the waitress from the video, the one who confronted your daughter. Her name is Claire, Ethan said firmly, and she's not a waitress. She's a former intelligence contractor who risked everything to try to stop my father's crimes. She's the real hero in this story. Claire wanted to disappear through the floor. This wasn't the plan. They'd agreed to keep her involvement vague, protect her identity as much as possible. But Ethan was done protecting powerful people at the expense of the truth. Is she here voluntarily? Another reporter called out. She's here because I asked her to be, Ethan said, and because she decided that hiding was worse than fighting back. Miss Claire, do you have anything to say? Claire looked at Ethan. He nodded. She walked to the podium, stood next to him, faced the cameras and the questions and the exposure she'd spent 3 years avoiding. My name is Claire Morrison, she said. 3 years ago, I discovered evidence of illegal weapons trafficking at Blackwell Maritime. When I tried to report it, people tried to kill me. They burned down my safe house. They murdered 3 people who helped me. They made everyone believe I was dead. Her voice shook but didn't break. I've been running ever since. Different cities, different names, always looking over my shoulder. I was ready to run again. But then I met Ethan's daughter, Lily, and I realized some things are worth fighting for. Some truths matter more than safety. Why come forward now? Because Ethan Blackwell is doing what I couldn't do 3 years ago. He's using his platform and his resources to make this public in a way that protects the evidence and holds people accountable. And because I'm tired of powerful people getting away with murder just because they're good at hiding it. Are you afraid of retaliation? Claire almost laughed. I've been afraid for 3 years. At this point, I'd rather die standing up than live hiding. The questions kept coming. For 90 minutes, Claire and Ethan stood at that podium, answering everything they could without compromising the federal investigation. The lawyers in the back looked like they were having simultaneous heart attacks, but nobody stopped them. Finally, Ethan called it. That's all for now. We'll provide updates as the investigation proceeds. Thank you. Security cleared the room. Journalists filed out, already calling their editors, already writing headlines. Claire stood there feeling hollowed out and weirdly relieved. You went off script, she said. I couldn't let you be invisible anymore. You deserve credit. I deserve to stay alive. You'll stay alive. Richard's already coordinating with federal marshals. They're offering protection. In exchange for what? Testimony, cooperation, everything you know about the operations and the people involved. Claire sat down heavily in one of the chairs. So I trade one cage for another. It's not a cage, it's protection while we burn down the people who tried to kill you. You're awfully optimistic for someone who just destroyed his family's legacy. Ethan sat down next to her. My family's legacy was built on blood and lies. I'm glad it's destroyed. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside the windows, New York continued its usual chaos, unaware and uncaring. What happens now? Claire asked. Now we wait. The FBI will move fast. They'll arrest people, seize records, start building cases. It'll take months, maybe years. But it'll happen. And us? What do you mean? Claire gestured between them. This, whatever this is, what happens when the press conference is over and reality sets in? Ethan looked at her. Really looked at her. I don't know, but I'd like to find out. Before Claire could respond, Richard appeared in the doorway. Sir, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where 3 black SUVs just pulled up outside with no license plates and men in tactical gear getting out. Claire's blood went cold. They're here. Who's here? Ethan demanded. The people who want me dead. Richard was already on his phone. Security is locking down the building. NYPD is en route, but we need to move now. Ethan grabbed Claire's hand. Where? Service elevator. There's a tunnel that leads to the subway station, built during the Cold War for executive evacuations. Richard was already moving, leading them toward a hidden door behind a bookshelf. They ran, down a narrow stairwell, through corridors that smelled like dust and old concrete, following Richard's lead. Behind them, Claire heard shouting. Gunfire, security trying to buy them time. The tunnel was exactly what Richard described. Narrow, poorly lit, clearly unused for decades. They ran through it, footsteps echoing, breathing hard. "Where does this come out?" Claire gasped. "Subway platform, 57th Street station. We go public, stay in crowds, make it too messy for them to take a shot." They burst through a door into the station. Morning rush hour was over, but there were still enough people around to provide cover. Richard led them to the platform, positioning himself between Claire and the entrance. A train pulled in. They got on, crammed into a car full of commuters who couldn't care less about billionaires and whistleblowers. Claire's phone buzzed, text from unknown number. "You should have taken the extraction." She showed it to Ethan. His jaw tightened. "Where's Lily?" Claire asked suddenly. "School. With 4 security guards I trust with my life." "Call them. Make sure she's okay." Ethan made the call. Listened. His face relaxed slightly. "She's fine. They've got her in lockdown. Nobody in or out." The train rattled through the tunnel. Claire watched the dark walls slide past and tried to calculate their next move. "Federal marshals," she said. "We need to get to them now. Offer full cooperation in exchange for protection." "Richard's already coordinating," Ethan said. "They're meeting us at a secure location." "Where?" Richard named an address in Lower Manhattan. A federal building Claire recognized from her old life. Impenetrable if you were on the outside. Reasonably safe if you were on the inside. They got off at Chambers Street, switched to another train, doubled back. Classic evasion tactics. By the time they surfaced near the federal building, Claire was reasonably sure they hadn't been followed. Federal marshals were waiting. 2 of them, stone-faced and efficient. They checked IDs, made calls, escorted Claire and Ethan through security screening that would have stopped a tank. Inside, they were led to a conference room. A woman in a suit was waiting, late 40s, iron gray hair, eyes that had seen too much and believed too little. "Miss Morrison," she said, "I'm Deputy Marshal Karen Reeves. We've been looking for you for 3 years." "I know. You have evidence of federal crimes committed by Blackwell Maritime and several government officials." "I do. We want it. All of it. In exchange, we offer full protection and immunity from any charges related to your initial investigation or your disappearance." Claire glanced at Ethan. He nodded. "I want the protection extended to Ethan Blackwell and his daughter," Claire said. "Mr. Blackwell voluntarily came forward. He's not in immediate danger. He is now. He just exposed an international weapons trafficking network on live television. People are going to come after him." Reeves considered this. "We can provide temporary protection while we assess the threat level." "Not good enough. Full protection for all 3 of us, or I walk." "You walk straight into the people trying to kill you." "Then I guess I better move fast." Reeves studied Claire like she was a puzzle with missing pieces. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "I've heard that before." A thin smile. "Fine. Full protection for all 3 of you, but you cooperate completely. No holding back. Everything you know." "Deal." They spent the next 6 hours in that conference room. Claire walked federal investigators through everything. The original investigation, the evidence she'd gathered, the people who'd helped her, the people who'd tried to kill her. She named names, provided documentation, connected dots that investigators had been missing for 3 years. Ethan sat beside her the entire time, occasionally adding context about Blackwell Maritime's operations, filling in gaps Claire couldn't see from the outside. By 4 p.m., they had enough to start making arrests. By 6 p.m., news started breaking about federal raids at government offices and private residences. By 8 p.m., 3 senators and 2 Pentagon officials were in custody. Claire watched it unfold on the TV in the conference room, feeling surreal. 3 years of running, and it was ending in a federal building in Lower Manhattan with bureaucrats in suits doing paperwork. "Is it always this anticlimactic?" she asked Reeves. "Justice usually is. The dramatic stuff happens in the investigation. The resolution is just lawyers and filing cabinets. Kind of disappointing. Welcome to the real world." Richard appeared around 9 p.m. with news that Lily was secure in a federal safe house, asking for her father and Claire. They were driven there under heavy security, a brownstone in Brooklyn that looked normal from the outside but had bulletproof windows and federal agents in every room. Lily met them at the door, flanked by both elephants and a female agent who looked exhausted. "You're okay." Lily threw herself at Claire, then her father, then Claire again. "I saw you on TV. You were so brave." "You watched the press conference?" Ethan asked. "The agents let me. They said I should know what's happening." Lily looked up at Claire. "You're a hero." "I'm really not." "Yes, you are. You stopped bad people." "Your dad stopped bad people. I just gave him the information. You both stopped bad people." Lily grabbed both their hands. "Are we safe now?" Claire and Ethan exchanged a look. "Getting there," Ethan said. "But we have to stay here for a while, under protection. Is that okay?" Lily looked around the safe house. "Does it have a TV?" "Yes." "And food?" "Yes." "And you're both staying?" "Both of us," Claire confirmed. "Then it's okay." That night, they ate takeout Chinese food in a federal safe house, while agents rotated shifts and investigators called with updates. Lily fell asleep on the couch between Claire and Ethan, one hand holding Harold, the other holding Herbert. "She's resilient," Claire said quietly. "She gets that from her mother." Ethan carefully moved Lily's hair out of her face. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not running, for staying, for caring about her even when it put you in danger." "I didn't really have a choice. She kind of grew on me." "Grew on you like mold, or grew on you like you actually care?" "Definitely the mold thing," Ethan smiled. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Lily sleep, both knowing everything had changed and would keep changing. The investigation moved fast. Over the next 3 weeks, federal prosecutors built cases against everyone involved in the trafficking network. Claire testified before grand juries. Ethan cooperated with audits of Blackwell Maritime. They lived in the safe house, adapting to a strange new routine of protection and uncertainty. Lily adjusted better than either of them. She liked the agents, especially the female one, Agent Torres, who taught her card tricks. She did her schoolwork remotely. She asked 1,000 questions about what was happening and why. And slowly, the threats diminished. Arrests were made. Networks were dismantled. The people who'd been hunting Claire were either in custody or too exposed to move. By December, Deputy Marshal Reeves called them into her office. "We've neutralized the immediate threats," she said. "The major players are in custody. The minor players are running scared. You're still at risk, but it's significantly lower." "What does that mean?" Ethan asked. "It means you can leave protective custody if you want. We'll maintain surveillance for another 6 months, but you don't have to live in a safe house anymore." Claire felt something loosen in her chest. "We can go home?" "You can try." That night, they returned to Ethan's penthouse. It felt strange after weeks in the safe house. Too big, too quiet. Too much space for 3 people who'd gotten used to living in close quarters. Lily ran through the apartment, reacquainting herself with her room, her toys, her normal life. Claire stood in the living room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, feeling like a stranger in a place she'd never belonged. "You okay?" Ethan asked. "I don't know where I fit anymore." "What do you mean?" Claire gestured around. "This. Your life. It's not my world." "It could be." "Could it?" "I'm a whistleblower with a dead identity and no job. You're a billionaire CEO. Lily's a kid who deserves stability. I don't fit into this picture." Ethan walked over to her, stood close enough that she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the gray in his hair that seemed more pronounced than before. "You're right," he said. "You don't fit into the old picture, but we're making a new picture, one where Lily has a father who shows up, one where I'm accountable for my company's actions, one where you don't have to hide anymore." "I still don't know who I am if I'm not running." "Then figure it out. Take your time, but do it here, with us." Claire looked out at the city. Somewhere down there was her old apartment in Washington Heights, her mattress on the floor, her life of invisibility. She didn't want it back. "Okay," she said quietly. "Okay? Okay, I'll stay, but I'm getting a real job. I'm not going to be a charity case living in your penthouse." "Deal. What kind of job?" "I don't know yet. Something that matters, something that uses what I know about corporate corruption and intelligence work." "I might know someone who's hiring." "Who?" Me. Blackwell Maritime needs a director of ethical compliance, someone who can audit operations and make sure we never repeat my father's mistakes. Someone who's not afraid to ask hard questions. Claire stared at him. You're serious? Completely. You'd be good at it. I'd make your life miserable. I'd question everything. I'd tear apart every operation until I was satisfied it was clean. That's exactly why I want you to do it. I don't have credentials. My resume is fake. My college degrees don't exist. Your real-world experience is better than any degree, and I can work with federal prosecutors to get your actual identity restored. Claire Morrison can come back from the dead, officially. It was too much, too fast. Claire's head spun. I need to think about it, she said. Take all the time you need. Lily appeared in the doorway wearing pajamas with dinosaurs on them. Are you guys done talking? Can we watch a movie? What movie? Ethan asked. The Princess Bride. Claire said it's her favorite. They watched The Princess Bride curled up on Ethan's obscenely expensive couch. Lily fell asleep during the fire swamp scene. Ethan carried her to bed. Claire stayed on the couch, watching the credits roll, thinking about futures she'd never let herself imagine. When Ethan came back, he sat down next to her. I have a question, he said. Shoot. When you told Lily that story at the cabin about the girl who was good at hiding, how did it end? I said it had an honest ending instead of a happy one. What's the honest ending? Claire thought about it, about the last 3 years, about the press conference and the investigation and everything that had happened since. The honest ending, she said slowly, is that the girl stopped hiding, and it was scary and messy and nothing like she planned, but she found people worth being visible for, and that mattered more than being safe. Is that a happy ending or an honest one? Maybe both. Maybe that's the same thing. Ethan reached over and took her hand. Can I tell you what I want? What? I want you to stay. Not as an employee, not as Lily's friend, just as yourself. Here, with us. As long as you want to be here. Claire's throat tightened. That's a lot of want. I know. I'm not good at staying. I'm good at running. Then learn. I'm learning how to be a father. You can learn how to stay in one place. What if I'm bad at it? Then we'll both be bad at things together. Claire looked at their linked hands, at the city lights beyond the windows, at Ethan's face, open and honest in a way that probably terrified him as much as staying terrified her. Okay, she said. I'll try. That's all I'm asking. They sat there in the darkness, holding hands, both knowing they were starting something that neither of them knew how to finish. But that was okay. Most good things started that way. 6 months later, Claire Morrison was officially alive again. Federal prosecutors worked their magic, restoring her identity, clearing her record, giving her back the life she'd lost. She took the job at Blackwell Maritime and proceeded to make everyone's life difficult by actually doing it right. Ethan stepped back from day-to-day operations to spend more time with Lily. They did camping trips. They made terrible pancakes. They fought and laughed and slowly became the family they'd never quite been before. Claire moved into the penthouse. Not because she needed to, but because she wanted to. She kept her old apartment in Washington Heights for a while, just in case, but eventually let it go. The need to maintain an escape route faded as the threats diminished, and life became something other than survival. Lily thrived. She made friends at school. She joined the drama club. She stopped throwing plates and started throwing herself into things that actually mattered. And on a random Tuesday night, almost exactly 1 year after that first disastrous dinner at Obsidian, the three of them sat in a cheap pizza place in Brooklyn, eating dollar slices and arguing about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. It's a crime against nature, Claire insisted. It's delicious, Lily countered. You're just wrong. I'm never wrong about pizza. You're wrong right now. Ethan watched them bicker, a small smile on his face. What? Claire asked. Nothing. Just thinking about how different everything is. Different good or different bad? Different good. Very good. Lily grabbed his hand, then Claire's hand. We're a family now, right? Yeah, Claire said. I think we are. Good. Because I was worried you might leave again. I'm not leaving. Promise? Claire thought about promises, about how she'd avoided making them for 3 years because promises meant staying and staying meant vulnerability, and vulnerability meant risk. But some risks were worth taking. Promise, she said. Lily beamed. Ethan squeezed her hand, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, Claire felt like she was exactly where she belonged. Outside, New York continued its endless chaos. But inside that small pizza place, with grease-stained napkins and plastic chairs that stuck to their elbows, three people who'd all been hiding from different things had finally stopped running. They'd found each other in the wreckage of their separate disasters and built something that looked like hope. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. Lily still had bad days. Ethan still struggled with putting down his phone during dinner. Claire still occasionally checked exits and memorized escape routes out of habit, but they showed up for each other, day after day, through the messy, imperfect reality of being human beings trying to do better than they had before. And in the end, that was the only honest ending worth having. Not the one where everything worked out perfectly, not the one where all problems were solved and everyone lived happily ever after, without complication, but the one where broken people chose to stop hiding, chose to be seen, chose to trust that being known was worth the risk of being hurt. The one where a billionaire learned that power meant nothing without connection. Where a lonely child learned that love wasn't transactional. Where a woman on the run learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand still. The one where family wasn't about blood or money or meeting some ideal standard. It was about showing up, being honest, choosing each other even when it was hard. That was the ending Claire Morrison never expected. The one she would have laughed at 3 years ago when she was burning buildings and running through smoke. But now, sitting in a pizza place with her family, imperfect, complicated, real, it was the only ending that made sense. And when Lily asked if they could do this again next week, Claire said yes without hesitation, because she wasn't hiding anymore. And that made all the difference.